Chapter 36-20. So powerful. Upon seeing this, the hearts of the various utmost powerful beings at the scene surged with emotions. Especially the Daifuku brothers, Princess Xiaofan and Pyrotechnic Glow. Before breaking through to the sovereign realm, Qin Feiyang's strength was also very powerful and invincible in the same realm. However, facing a sovereign realm supreme expert, he had no power at all. Unless he activated the slaughter zone and used the sovereign divine weapon. But now, Qin Feiyang had stepped into the sovereign realm. Not to mention supreme experts, even super supreme experts like Qi Yefeng were no match for him. Before and after breaking through, they were on two different levels. But now, in the entire sky cloud boundary, in the various forbidden zones, without the sovereign divine weapon and ultimacy, who could compete with him? It was too terrifying. Not only was Qin Feiyang's talent terrifying, but the divine techniques he had mastered were also more terrifying. 3,000 clones, slaughter zone, where did these heaven-defying killing techniques come from? Even the forbidden zones with deep foundations and countless years of history didn't have such divine techniques. I can't even compare to a human junior, looking at Qi Yefeng again. She seemed to have gone crazy, and her ferocious face was filled with disbelief. Junior? With my current strength, I can even be your ancestor. Do you really think you're so great? The 10 clones' eyes were filled with contempt. You're courting death. Qi Yefeng was burning with anger. Accompanied by a terrifying aura, a huge qilin appeared out of nowhere. Every hair on its body was like a green gem, bright and dazzling. Qilin real body? Do you think you can reverse the situation and turn defeat into victory by reverting to your original form? Sorry, no matter how heaven-defying your methods are, you'll still be at our feet today. The 10 clones laughed and used the space-time step, raising their fists and attacking Qi Yefeng crazily. Although they were clones, they had inherited Qin Feiyang's powerful physical body and strength. The power of one punch was enough to shatter heaven and earth. At this moment, Qi Yefeng was like a huge sandbag being beaten up by the 10 clones. This was not only a destruction of her physical body, but also a trampling of her dignity. The bodies of divine beasts were naturally stronger than those of humans. Especially an existence like the qilin. His powerful physical body was enough to crush anyone. But no matter how strong he was, how could he compare to a supreme being's physique and strength? You have completely infuriated me. All of you, wake up! Qi Yefeng roared. As one of the overlords of the Forbidden Lands, he had never been so furious before. Boom! As a terrifying aura appeared, a barrier that was 100 meters tall appeared. The 10 clones attacked the barrier with all of their might, but they were unable to damage it at all. Qilin domain? The 10 incarnations surrounded the barrier and frowned slightly. Roar! But in the next moment, a huge qilin beast shadow roared out of the barrier, exuding a monstrous aura. Under this divine might, even the 10 incarnations felt a sense of fatal danger. Qin Feiyang, this is not the qilin domain. This is the Qilin clan's taboo technique, Qilin divine domain. Princess Xiaofan roared in shock and anger. She had never imagined that Qi Yefeng would actually use a forbidden technique. Qilin divine domain? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. That's right. Although the Qilin domain and Qilin divine domain only differ by one word, the difference in power between the two is like heaven and earth. The Qilin domain is only a powerful forbidden technique, and it only has defensive abilities. But this Qilin divine domain is a super forbidden technique. Not only is its defensive power above the former, but it also has a terrifying lethality. Princess Xiaofan secretly explained. Super forbidden technique. Qin Feiyang was shocked and couldn't help but recall the super forbidden technique that the fire dragon had activated. That power could simply be described as invincible. If it wasn't for the fact that his Eye of Heaven had already merged and transformed, he would really have to activate the slaughter domain or use the sovereign divine weapon to be a match for it. Unexpectedly, the Qilin clan actually had such a super forbidden technique. Go to hell, go to hell. Qi Yefeng laughed sinisterly. The Qilin beast shadow was like an ancient giant beast that had appeared in the world, crazily pouncing on the 10 incarnations. Qin Feiyang stared at the Qilin beast shadow and transmitted his voice. Why didn't Qi Yu and the others activate this forbidden technique at that time? Princess Huifeng secretly said, because only the patriarchs of the various clans are qualified to inherit the forbidden technique. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and said with a faint smile, in that case, Yufeng people and dragons should also have forbidden techniques. You can still laugh? Princess Huifeng was speechless and nodded. That's right, we also have forbidden techniques, but like the Qilin clan, only the patriarchs of the various clans can inherit it. It seems that you people from the forbidden zones really can't be underestimated. But, at this point, Qin Feiyang changed the topic and said coldly, so what if you have forbidden techniques? A clown is still a clown after all. If it was someone else, even if it was the Qilin realm, they would be helpless, let alone the forbidden technique. But now, Qi Yefeng was facing his avatar. Qin Feiyang looked at the 10 avatars and said lightly, let her have a taste of true despair. Hey! The 10 avatars bared their teeth. That was exactly what he wanted. Roar! Accompanied by a deafening dragon roar, 10 purple gold dragon souls appeared. The Eye of Heaven was activated in an instant. In an instant, a Qilin realm appeared around the 10 avatars, and the Qilin beast shadows roared out. What? What exactly are they? Not only can they activate the Order Ultimacy, but they can also activate the Fighting Soul and even the Eye of Heaven. The appearance of this scene shocked everyone present. The 3,000 avatars were too terrifying. They were completely replicas of Qin Feiyang. If those who did not know saw this scene, they would definitely think that the 10 avatars were Qin Feiyang's biological brothers from the same mother. There was no suspense. Qi Yefeng was also enlightened on the spot. She did not expect that the avatars could activate the Eye of Heaven. These were the 10 real Qin Feiyang. Regardless of whether it was in terms of strength or skills, they were exactly the same. The Qilin clan's forbidden skill was indeed powerful, but she was alone. On the other hand, the 10 avatars had replicas of the 10 great forbidden skills. Most importantly, even the replicas of the forbidden skills were not inferior to hers. 1 against 10. Was there any chance of winning? She did not want to see the result because the result was already decided. The huge Qilin real body was paralyzed in the starry sky. Regardless of whether it was her face or her eyes, they were filled with fear and despair. Humph! Serves you right. The Daifuku brothers snorted coldly. This was the price of being arrogant. Fear filled the hearts of Qi Xiong and the other 8 patriarchs. They never would have thought that Qin Feiyang's strength had already reached such a level. Even if they joined forces, they were not fully confident of defeating him. Even Qi Xiong and the others were like this, not to mention Qi Yu and the other juniors. Their hearts were already terrified to the extreme. It turned out that this was Qin Feiyang's true strength. At the edge of the inner area, he did not seriously fight with them at all. To think that they thought they could defeat this person. This was simply a joke. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion, the Qilin beast shadow summoned by Qi Yefeng shattered on the spot in the void in the face of the 10 avatars' forbidden skills. Following closely, the 10 great forbidden skills charged towards Qi Yefeng. Qi Ji took a deep breath and raised his head to look at Qin Feiyang standing in front of him. He smiled and said, "The battle has already been decided. Little brother, please be merciful." However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Be merciful? What a joke. He did not see this woman being merciful before. Moreover, the white-eyed wolf was waiting to fuse with the law of life in the black tortoise realm. Looking at the indifferent Qin Feiyang, Qi Ji could not help but frown. Clang! However, at this moment, an ear-piercing sword sound rang out. A green divine light swept out from Qi Yifeng's body, exuding a sharp aura that could destroy the world. The 10 great forbidden skills were annihilated on the spot. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked at the sky above Qi Yifeng's head. A 3-foot-long thin sword was floating. It looked like it was made of emerald. It was crystal clear and emitted a dazzling divine light. Sovereign divine weapon. I am the leader of a clan. How can I be defeated by a junior like you? The appearance of the sovereign divine weapon made Qi Yifeng's fighting spirit recover. She raised her head to look at Qin Feiyang and roared. A majestic life force emerged. Qi Yifeng, who was covered in wounds before, was instantly healed. This is the law of life? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. Having the law of life was equivalent to having an immortal body. Clang! Qi Yifeng transformed into her human form and grabbed the sovereign divine weapon. The sharp aura could topple mountains and overturn seas as she charged toward the 10 clones. Although the 10 clones were strong, they could not withstand the sovereign divine weapon's aura and were all destroyed in an instant. Qi Yifeng, stop here. Qi Ji shouted. Stop here? Are you joking with me? Qi Yifeng sneered. She held the sovereign divine weapon and charged toward Qin Feiyang. How could she stop now? If she did not kill Qin Feiyang, she would not have the face to face her clan in the future. You, Qi Ji was furious. Can't you tell that I am helping you? You really don't know what's good for you. In the blink of an eye, Qi Yifeng was almost in front of Qin Feiyang. Even Qin Feiyang did not dare to be careless when facing the sovereign divine weapon. Similarly, Qi Yifeng's actions had also angered him. Before, when Brother Daifuku was about to activate the sovereign divine weapon, what did this woman say? Activating the sovereign divine weapon was a declaration of war against the Qilin clan. What? Now that it was her turn, she did not care so much. It was true that only the officials were allowed to set fires, but the common people were not allowed to light lamps. Clang! Accompanied by 2 terrifying auras, the Horsetail Whisk and the Grim Reaper's sword appeared at the same time and charged forward. With a loud bang, the sovereign divine weapon in Qi Yifeng's hand flew out. Qi Yifeng was also sent flying, spitting out blood. As expected. He alone has 2 sovereign divine weapons. No. I heard that he has an ancient castle. Qi Xiong and the others trembled. With 3 sovereign divine weapons, 3,000 clones, the slaughter domain, the Eye of Heaven, and other heaven-defying means, who could be his opponent in a one-on-one battle? Chapter 36-21. I'm immortal. Qi Yifeng stabilized her body and activated the law of life, healing her injuries. Immortal? Qin Feiyang sneered and looked at the Horsetail Whisk and the Grim Reaper's sword. Hold that sovereign weapon back. No problem. The 2 sovereign weapons charged forward. With a thought from Qin Feiyang, 100 incarnations appeared. So many? Qi Xiong and the others were stunned. Qi Yifeng was helpless against 10 clones, let alone 100. Crush her body so that she can't activate the law of life. Qin Feiyang shouted. 100 clones flew out and activated their ultimates. This time around, there were a whopping 200 supreme ultimates. This could be described as apocalyptic. Even Princess Huafeng and the other 3 could not help but feel their scalps go numb. Boom! As the 100 clones charged forward, Qi Yifeng's eyes were filled with mockery. Forbidden technique, Qilance domain, activated. Although your Eye of Heaven can replicate the forbidden technique, as long as I don't activate the forbidden technique, Qilance domain, it's meaningless even if you can replicate it. Because Qilance domain only has defensive abilities and no offensive abilities. So now, you can't break the defense of Qilance domain. Qi Yifeng sneered. That's right. Hearing Qi Yifeng's words, Qi Xiong and the others slapped their heads in realization. Although the Eye of Heaven was heaven-defying, as long as Qin Feiyang didn't get a chance, it couldn't do anything to Qi Yifeng. Before Qi Yifeng activated the forbidden technique, Qilance domain. Since Qilance domain had strong offensive abilities, Qin Feiyang replicated it with the Eye of Heaven. But now, Qi Yifeng activated the forbidden technique, Qilance domain. Although Qilance domain had amazing defensive abilities, it didn't have any offensive abilities. Even if Qin Feiyang replicated it, the most he could do was increase the defensive abilities of the 100 clones. With the strength of the 100 clones, they couldn't break Qi Yifeng's domain. If they couldn't break Qi Yifeng's domain, they couldn't hurt her. Really? Then, how long do you think the life force you possess can last? Qin Feiyang disagreed. Naive. I, who have mastered the ultimate profundities of the laws of life, possess an endless amount of life force. Now, it's not you exhausting me to death, it's me exhausting you to death. Qi Yifeng laughed mockingly. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in understanding. As it turned out, with the law of life, he could activate forbidden techniques without any worries. It seemed that he had underestimated the laws of life. Since that was the case, he had even more reason to help the white-eyed wolf obtain the law of life. This was because once the white-eyed wolf grasped the law of life, he would be able to easily avert danger in the future. Let's consider this battle a draw. Qi Ji smiled. What a joke. Qin Feiyang and Qi Yifeng spoke at the same time. Since they had already fought to this extent, how could it end just like that? Come on. If you have the ability, then break open the Qilance domain. I will stand here and let you kill me. Qi Yifeng clamored. All right. I would like to see how powerful this Qilance domain is. With a thought, Qin Feiyang fully activated his 3,000 clones. What? Qi Xiong and the rest were dumbfounded. There were indeed 3,000 clones. It was equivalent to 3,000 Qin Feiyang. Was this the rhythm of defying the heavens? Whether it's a divine technique or a forbidden technique, there is a limit. I am looking forward to it. Can 3,000 clones surpass the limit of the Qilance domain? As Qin Feiyang's voice fell, the 3,000 clones stepped forward at the same time and landed around Qi Yifeng. The ultimate profundities of the laws of destruction and karma were instantly activated. There were a total of 6,000 ultimate profundities. What kind of scene was this? Even for a super powerful being like Qi Ji, he had never seen so many ultimates before. It could only be described with 4 words. Appalling. Looking at this scene, even Qi Yifeng's heart couldn't help but start to pound. Could the Qilance domain withstand the bombardment of 3,000 ultimate profundities? You should feel honored. Because ever since I stepped into the complete Dominator realm, you are the first person who made me activate all 3,000 clones. No, you are the second. The first person who made me activate all 3,000 clones, the Fire Dragon, died on White Crane Island. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Kill. As Qin Feiyang's voice fell, the 3,000 clones roared at the same time. The 6,000 ultimate profundities instantly turned into a torrent that drowned the starry sky and charged towards the Qilance domain. At this moment, whether it was Princess Huifeng and the other 3, or Qi Xiong and the rest, all of them stared at the Qilance domain. Don't think that this matter had nothing to do with them. On the contrary, it had a lot to do with it. Because all of them had mastered forbidden techniques. If Qin Feiyang really had the ability to break the Qilin's domain, it meant that if they were to become enemies with Qin Feiyang in the future, the forbidden techniques that they had mastered wouldn't be able to protect them. Rumble, accompanied by a series of loud noises, 6,000 ultimate profundities blasted onto the Qilin's domain, and a destructive aura instantly swept across all directions. Kacha. A faint voice could be heard. But this sound was like a clap of thunder in everyone's ears. The group of people hurriedly looked towards the direction of the sound and saw that a crack suddenly appeared right above the Qilin's domain. It really works. The forbidden technique that has always been invincible was actually forcefully broken by him. Everyone's heart trembled. Especially Qi Yu and the rest. In their eyes, the Qilin's domain had always been an invincible existence. Other than the ultimate profundities and the sovereign divine weapon, no one had the ability to match it at all. In the past, it was indeed so. As long as the Qilin's domain was activated, it was equivalent to being in an invincible position. But they never thought that a human would actually break this invincible legend today. 6,000. 6,000 ultimate profundities, never heard of, never seen before. If Qin Feiyang took out other ultimate profundities, coupled with the 3,000 clones, how terrifying would it be? At this moment, Qi Yu and the rest of the younger generation finally realized what a terrifying existence they had provoked. Ultimate profundities, under the sovereign divine weapon, Qin Feiyang was an invincible human king. Similarly, this battle not only allowed the Qilin clan and Princess Hufeng's group of 4 to understand Qin Feiyang's true strength, even Qin Feiyang himself finally had a clear understanding of his own strength. Eye of Heaven, 3,000 clones, Slaughter Domain, with these means added together, he was completely capable of competing with the various forbidden zones. Of course, it was only limited to the various clan leaders. It was also limited to the premise of not activating the sovereign divine weapon. If all of them activated the sovereign divine weapon, Qin Feiyang naturally wouldn't be able to match up to the various forbidden zones. After all, the number of sovereign divine weapons of the various forbidden zones far exceeded his. As for the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin clan leader, these few tyrannical forbidden zone rulers naturally had to be treated differently. After all, no one knew just how terrifying their strength and means were. Kacha. In less than 3 breaths, the Qilin domain suddenly shattered. 6,000 profundities instantly drowned Qi Yefeng, the destructive aura like a volcanic eruption, shattering billions of miles of the galaxy. This was the true scene of doomsday. If this was the Qilin sacred land now, who knew how many casualties there would be? I'm immortal, Qi Yefeng roared hysterically. The life laws were like a vast ocean, drowning this galaxy. Her physical body was constantly shattered and reconstructed. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be dumbfounded by this scene. If it were any other super supreme expert, facing 6,000 profundities, they wouldn't be able to survive. But this woman relied on the life laws and was unable to shatter her physical body. One had to admit that the life laws were really powerful. However, no matter how she struggled, in the end, the white-eyed wolf had to take advantage of her. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a bright light as he flashed above Qi Yefeng with a single step. An invisible mighty force gushed out and enveloped Qi Yefeng like a torrent. In the next instant, she vanished without a trace. Qi Xiong and the others were stunned. What was he doing? Ancient Castle, Hall. The white-eyed wolf was waiting. Suddenly, a powerful aura appeared, and the white-eyed wolf's spirit was instantly lifted. He turned to look at Qi Yefeng, and when he saw the life laws around Qi Yefeng, his eyes lit up. Suddenly coming to this unfamiliar place, Qi Yefeng was also a little stunned. White-eyed wolf, this person has mastered the life laws, and I can't shatter her physical body no matter how hard I try. However, I left her sovereign divine weapon outside, so it won't be a threat to you. So now, let the ancient castle help to suppress her and forcefully seize her. Qin Feiyang's voice sounded in the ancient castle. You can't shatter her physical body no matter how hard you try. So powerful? The white-eyed wolf was stunned, and then became even more excited. He roared, "Ancient castle, quickly suppress her." Boom! The pressure of the sovereign divine weapon instantly enveloped them from all directions. Ancient castle? Seize? When Qi Yueying heard Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's words, she was shocked. Could this be Qin Feiyang's third sovereign divine weapon, the ancient castle? Without any hesitation, she turned and rushed out of the door. But it was too late. The ancient castle's pressure had firmly confined her in the hall. No matter how strong you are, you can't escape the suppression of a sovereign divine weapon. This was the reason why all living things in the world feared a sovereign divine weapon. Once a sovereign divine weapon appeared, all living things in the world would have to submit. This is simply a big fat sheep. I won't hesitate to enjoy it. The white-eyed wolf laughed and activated his innate ability, enveloping Qi Yefeng. Outside, Qi Xiong and the others came back to their senses and glared at Qin Feiyang. He shouted, "Where did you send her? What do you want to do to her?" "Don't worry, you will know soon." Qin Feiyang turned around and glanced at the group of people with a smile. The 3,000 incarnations stood behind Qin Feiyang in an orderly manner, each of them exuding a shocking murderous aura. The horsetail whisk and the sword of the Grim Reaper had also stopped fighting. They flew above Qin Feiyang, their divine auras surging and intimidating in all directions. "Brother Qin, this is just a sparring match. You don't have to be so ruthless." The white-bearded old man looked at Qin Feiyang and frowned. A sparring match? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, and he wanted to laugh inexplicably. Forbidden techniques, and sovereign divine weapons were all activated. If he wasn't strong enough, he would have been a lonely soul under Qi Yefeng's command. But now, this person was telling him that this was just a sparring match? Chapter 36-22. We're all adults here. Can you stop joking around? If this is considered a friendly duel, then what is a real battle of life and death? Qi Ji looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "No matter what, you've already won. Please show mercy." Showing mercy also depends on the person. We came to the Qilin sacred ground to look for an old friend. We have no ill intentions. However, before we even entered the Qilin sacred ground, the Qilin clan came and humiliated us repeatedly. Fine. For the sake of an old friend, we tolerated it. We only deprived them of their laws and cultivation to teach them a lesson. However, not only did they not thank us for not killing them, they even called a group of old men to avenge them. More importantly, these old men don't have the demeanor of an elder at all. They're so aggressive. Please. Senior, if you were in their shoes, would you show mercy to them? Qin Feiyang looked at Qi Ji and said with a faint smile. Qi Ji was speechless. Was there a need to ask? If he were in their shoes, he would be furious and kill them all. I'll say it again. I, Qin Feiyang, don't cause trouble, but I'm not afraid of it. We'll talk about it later. I know how the Qilin clan treats me. If I kill one now, I'll have one less strong enemy in the future. Why not? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. How dare you? How can my Qilin clan's patriarch be killed by you rascals just because you say so? Qi Xiong shouted. The other 8 clan leaders looked at each other, their eyes filled with strong killing intent. Boom! In the next moment, a terrifying divine aura erupted from the 8 clan leaders' bodies. It was the divine aura of a sovereign divine weapon. Oh no! Princess Huifeng and the others were shocked. The 8 clan leaders were ready to use their sovereign divine weapons to kill Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's pupils couldn't help but shrink. Qi Xiong didn't have a sovereign divine weapon because the Fire Qilin race's sovereign divine weapon was with Qi Ji. However, the 8 patriarchs and Qi Yefeng had a total of 9 sovereign divine weapons. 9 sovereign divine weapons. To be honest, it was really despairing. However, at this moment, Princess Huifeng and Pyrotechnic Glow looked at each other and stepped forward to Qin Feiyang's side. The Dafu brothers were slightly stunned. They hurriedly ran over and transmitted their voices, "Your Highnesses, this isn't good. Although Lord Patriarch and Qin Feiyang have a 1,000-year agreement, he didn't say that we should stand on the same battlefront as him. Previously, when Qi Yefeng was pressuring us bitterly, wasn't it Qin Feiyang who stood out to help us out?" The Flaming Phoenix Sword and Flaming Phoenix Sacred Jade listened to Qin Feiyang. "I'm just going with the flow to return the favor," Princess Huifeng said telepathically. As Princess Huifeng finished speaking, the Flaming Phoenix Sword and Flaming Phoenix Sacred Jade appeared. Pyrotechnic Glow looked at the Daifuku brothers. "Why are you looking at us? It's up to your highness." The two were helpless. Pyrotechnic Glow looked at Princess Huifeng and asked, "Sister, do you think I should help or not?" "Cut the crap. Do you think that Qi Xiong and the others will let us go if Qin Feiyang dies here? Previously, they already had the intention to kill us. Now that Qin Feiyang is dead, they will definitely take the opportunity to get rid of us. At that time, even if Father comes to question us, they can just casually fabricate a reason to make Father speechless." Princess Huifeng glared at him. When Pyrotechnic Glow heard this, he immediately roared with righteous indignation, "Then we must help." The Flaming Phoenix Sword and Divine Phoenix Spear also charged out. For Dominator Divine Weapons, the Horsetail Whisk, the Sword of Thanatos, the Ancient Castle, and the Field of Slaughter, compared to the 9 Dominator Divine Weapons that Qi Xiong and the others had, they were only 1 less. Even if they were no match for them, it would not be a problem for them to kill their way out. Qi Xiong was furious when he saw this scene. He glared at the siblings and shouted, "Are you really determined to help Qin Feiyang? Although we are helping him, we are also helping ourselves." Princess Huifeng said lightly. Qi Xiong's eyes turned cold. He said in a deep voice, "We never said that we want to kill you." "You didn't say it, but that's what you think," Princess Huifeng said with a smile. "Okay. I promise you here, as long as you step aside and wait for us to kill Qin Feiyang, I will personally send you back to the Feng people." Qi Xiong suppressed his killing intent and said, "Who would believe your words?" Pyrotechnic Glow did not hide his disdain. Qi Xiong could no longer hold it in. He turned to look at Qi Ji and shouted, "Big brother, are you going to sit back and do nothing?" Qi Ji looked at Qi Xiong, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. His eyes flickered. The tense atmosphere made the galaxy seem incomparably oppressive. Suddenly, the corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted slightly, and he pursed his lips into a smile. Following closely, his mind moved. 2 figures appeared beside him. It was Qi Yefeng and the White-Eyed Wolf. But at this moment, Qi Yefeng looked at the White-Eyed Wolf with fear and hatred in her eyes, as if she was looking at a devil. Looking at the White-Eyed Wolf, he was high-spirited and in high spirits. Moreover, his aura had already reached the great perfection sovereign realm. Although only a short while had passed outside, a lot of time had passed in the Black Tortoise realm. With the help of the ancient castle, the White-Eyed Wolf had not only successfully plundered Qi Yefeng's law of life, but had also successfully merged with it. Now, the White-Eyed Wolf, who had mastered the 6 supreme laws, was undoubtedly an invincible existence even in the various forbidden zones. "How are you going to thank me?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The White-Eyed Wolf pondered for a while, then grinned and said, "I will repay you with my body." Scram! Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Ha! The white-eyed wolf laughed, looked at Qi Xiong and the 8 patriarchs, and said contemptuously, "How boring it is to activate the sovereign divine weapon, come, all of you together." Boom! The aura of a great perfection sovereign realm erupted without reservation. Already broken through? Princess Xiaofan was stunned. Qi Yifeng suddenly roared, "Kill it, we must kill it." Qi Xiong and the others looked at Qi Yifeng. They were shocked when they saw her. Qi Yifeng's body was not only covered in wounds, but there was also a fist-sized hole in her lower abdomen. If this happened to others, it would not be surprising, but on Qi Yifeng, it was an extremely unbelievable thing. Because Qi Yifeng had mastered the law of life. Not to mention such injuries, even if her body was torn into pieces, she would be able to instantly recover. But now, the injuries on her body showed no signs of recovery. Stop looking. She no longer has the law of life. The white-eyed wolf laughed mockingly. You actually plundered her law of life? Qi Yu roared in disbelief. Plundered? The white-eyed wolf looked at Qi Yu in disdain, shook his head, and said, No, this is not plundering, this is plundering. Plundering? Qi Yu was stunned. What did this mean? The white-eyed wolf waved his claws, and a wave of law of life emerged and rushed toward the Daifuku brothers. The injuries that Qi Yifeng had caused them previously were instantly healed. The Daifuku brothers were dumbfounded. What a majestic life energy! Could it be? They looked at the white-eyed wolf. Although they were now comrades, their hearts were filled with fear of the white-eyed wolf. That's right. I plundered her law of life. You can also understand that I inherited her law of life. This is my innate divine ability. Not only can I strip the other party's law of life, but I can also fuse with the plundered law. The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. Qi Xiong and the others were stunned when they heard this. Plundered, fused, how could there be such a ridiculous special ability in this world? It must be lying to them. This is true. I saw it plundered my law of life with my own eyes, and I also saw it fuse with the law of life to step into the sovereign realm. You damned beast, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Qi Yifeng roared. She was full of resentment and had nowhere to vent it. The law of life that she had comprehended with great difficulty was actually given to a beast. It almost made her collapse. Plundered, fused, not to mention Qi Xiong and Qi Yu, even Qi Ji couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Such a ridiculous innate divine ability simply made people shudder with fear. The white-bearded old man frowned and said, In that case, your 6 supreme laws were all plundered by you? Of course. If there are ready-made ones, why bother comprehending them? The white-eyed wolf nodded. The white-bearded old man couldn't help but smile bitterly. That's right. With such a special ability, who would want to work hard? Who would have thought that Qi Yifeng and the others would come for revenge and instead help the golden-winged wolf king? The paramount profound truths of the 6 supreme laws, sovereign realm, whether it was for Qin Feiyang or the golden-winged wolf king, there was a gap between the sovereign realm and the sovereign realm. No matter how many supreme laws the golden-winged wolf king grasped, he wouldn't be able to fight against a supreme expert like Qi Xiong with the cultivation of a sovereign realm. That was because cultivation determined everything. However, once it stepped into the sovereign realm, there would be a qualitative change. Its strength wouldn't just increase by a few times, it would increase by a few times, or even dozens of times. In other words, once the white-eyed wolf stepped into the sovereign realm, it would be like Qin Feiyang. It would be an invincible king under the sovereign realm's divine weapon and ultimate laws. Qi Xiong, the various patriarchs, and even Qi Ji wouldn't be a match for the white-eyed wolf. After all, not only did the white-eyed wolf grasp the 6 supreme laws, but it also had a heaven-defying battle soul. It wasn't that they didn't have battle souls. Their battle souls were extremely powerful in the past, but when they stepped into the sovereign realm, they were just like the eye of heaven. They were useless and had no value. Hey hey hey. Why are all of you silent? Come on. None of you dare to come forward. Looks like without the sovereign realm's divine weapon, all of you are just a bunch of trash. The white-eyed wolf shouted wantonly. The power of the 6 supreme laws surged in the void like raging waves, exuding a terrifying aura that shocked everyone present. Chapter 36-23. Right now, the white-eyed wolf was too powerful. With 6 supreme laws, it could be said that it was the number 1 in the world. Even the super powerhouses of the Forbidden Zone seemed small and insignificant in front of it. Not going to make a move? Alright, I'll force you to make a move. The white-eyed wolf laughed and activated instant time. In just an instant, it landed in front of Qi Xiong and attacked with its claw. An invisible force shattered the sky. Qi Xiong hurriedly raised his arm to block. Crack! With a crisp sound, Qi Xiong's arm shattered on the spot. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. What? It has actually broken the limit of its physical body. Qi Xiong was shocked. What's there to be shocked about? The white-eyed wolf sneered. The 4 supreme laws of death, karma, destruction, and space-time instantly appeared and blasted toward Qi Xiong with the power to destroy the world. Qi Xiong's eyes trembled as he decisively activated Qilin's domain. With a loud bang, despite being bombarded by the 4 supreme laws, Qilin's domain was still intact. A forbidden technique was indeed worthy of being called a forbidden technique. Looking at this scene, Qi Xiong was instantly filled with confidence. That's right. The reason why Qin Feiyang was powerful was because he had the Eye of Heaven and 3,000 clones. As for the golden-winged Wolf King, although he was powerful, he couldn't replicate the forbidden technique and didn't have a heaven-defying technique like 3,000 clones. Therefore, no matter what, the golden-winged Wolf King couldn't break the forbidden technique Qilin's domain, let alone the super forbidden technique Qilin's domain. On the contrary, by relying on the super forbidden technique, he could kill the golden-winged Wolf King. Because the super forbidden technique Qilin's domain not only had the strongest defense, but it also had unparalleled lethality. With that thought in mind, Qi Xiong immediately activated Qilin's domain. Roar! Accompanied by a deafening beast roar, a Qilin beast shadow roared out, exuding a monstrous aura as it pounced toward the white-eyed wolf. How did he master the Qilin's domain? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Wasn't it said that only the patriarchs of various races were qualified to inherit the super forbidden technique? He had personally experienced this super forbidden technique, so he knew how terrifying the Qilin's domain was. Even though the white-eyed wolf's domain was heaven-defying, it couldn't compete. This was because forbidden techniques had already surpassed all living things, and their power could not be measured by divine techniques. I don't know. However, it's true that the various clans all have this sort of rule. Only the clan leaders of each generation can inherit the super forbidden technique. Princess Firewind shook her head. Could it be that Qilin's domain? Because only with Qilin's domain, Qilin's domain. Qin Feiyang's gaze darkened. He looked at the ingrate and shouted, "Be careful." This turn of events was truly unexpected. However, the white-eyed wolf did not show the panic that everyone had imagined. Looking at the Qilin beast shadow that was charging towards him, there seemed to be a hint of hesitation in his eyes. What are you hesitating for? Could it be that this wolf cub had been hiding some shocking technique? Qin Feiyang was also confused. To be honest, although he had grown up with the white-eyed wolf was the only one he couldn't see through. Because ever since the white-eyed wolf stepped into the false god realm, it had been unfathomable. For example, depriving cultivation, depriving laws, fusing laws. Initially, no one knew about these heaven-defying abilities. It was the white-eyed wolf who slowly revealed them. The Qilin's domain attacked. The white-eyed wolf suddenly grinned and said, "Since I've stepped into the perfection sovereign realm and obtained the life law, I don't need to hide anymore." Boom! As its voice fell, a monstrous aura burst out from the white-eyed wolf's forehead. "This is..." Qin Feiyang stared at the white-eyed wolf's forehead in surprise. This aura didn't come from the white-eyed wolf itself. It came from the flame pattern on the white-eyed wolf's forehead. All along, he had a doubt in his heart. Why would there be a flame pattern on the white-eyed wolf's forehead? What was the meaning of this flame pattern? But he didn't expect. At this moment, this flame pattern burst out with such a terrifying divine power. Moreover, this divine power wasn't any weaker than the Qilin's. "It really has other tricks up its sleeve," Princess Xiaofan murmured. She glanced at Qin Feiyang and saw that Qin Feiyang was also shocked. Obviously, even Qin Feiyang didn't know. This bastard, he really hid it well. At the same time, Qi Ji, Qi Xiong, and the others also had a look of surprise. They thought that the white-eyed wolf's tricks were only the 6 ultimate laws and the innate divine ability. They never expected it to have such a shocking trump card. Woo! Just as everyone was extremely surprised, accompanied by a sky-shaking howl, the flame pattern on the white-eyed wolf's forehead suddenly shot out a blood-red light. This blood-red light seemed to have been transformed by a peerless beast. It emitted an unparalleled ferocious aura, causing everyone present to tremble uncontrollably. But it wasn't over yet. The next moment, the blood-red light in the sky transformed into a giant wolf that was tens of thousands of feet tall. The giant wolf was completely blood-red, as if it had been soaked in blood. It emitted a monstrous evil aura. What was even more strange was that there were 10 pairs of blood-red wings on the back of this giant wolf. The 10 pairs of blood-red wings spread out and covered the sky. Furthermore, there was a pattern between the giant wolf's eyebrows. However, it was different from the pattern on the white-eyed wolf's forehead. The white-eyed wolf's forehead had a flame pattern. However, this giant wolf's forehead had a pattern that was shaped like an eye. At first glance, it looked like a real blood-red eye. Looking at the giant blood-red wolf in the sky, Qi Xiong's eyes trembled as if he had seen something unbelievable. His face was full of disbelief. "So what if you have a super forbidden technique?" The white-eyed wolf sneered. As it waved its paw, the giant blood-red wolf immediately stepped into the air. Not only was it ferocious, but it also emitted a divine aura that could shock all beasts. At this moment, even divine phoenixes and Qilins like Princess Xiaofan and Qi Ji couldn't help but feel a sense of oppression from the depths of their divine souls. It was as if they were facing the overlord of all beasts. Qi Xiong was the same. An uncontrollable fear rose in his heart. This was not fear of the white-eyed wolf, but fear of the giant blood-red wolf. Boom! The giant blood-red wolf covered thousands of miles in one step, shattering the starry sky. The moment it met the Qilin beast shadow, it slapped down with its paw. The Qilin beast shadow howled and collapsed in the void. What? Even a super forbidden technique is so weak? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Qi Yu and the other young people were scared out of their wits. This was too terrifying. One had to know. This was not a forbidden technique, Qilin domain, but a super forbidden technique, Qilin sacred domain. Ant. The white-eyed wolf's face was full of contempt at this moment. The giant blood-red wolf slapped down with its paw again. The Qilin sacred domain around Qi Xiong also shattered with a crack. Then, the giant blood-red wolf's paw, which was as huge as a mountain, slapped down on Qi Xiong. With a scream, Qi Xiong's body shattered on the spot. Blood stained the sky. That's it? The white-eyed wolf laughed wildly. He activated the moment of time and rushed to Qi Xiong's side, grabbing Qi Xiong's divine soul. Golden-winged Wolf King, please have mercy. Qi Ji and the white-bearded old man's faces changed as they shouted. Qi Xiong did not have the law of life. Once his body was shattered, he would be at the mercy of the white-eyed Wolf King. Hey! The white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them and grinned. Then, it slowly closed its paw. No, Qi Xiong's divine soul shouted in horror. He also felt the murderous intent of the white-eyed wolf. It's so powerful. It is truly invincible now. Pyrotechnic Glow's face was full of admiration. At first, he did not care about the white-eyed wolf. However, as he gradually understood the white-eyed wolf, he had already regarded the white-eyed wolf as his goal and idol. Then, he looked at Princess Xiaofan with a strange light in his eyes. Some were happy and some were sad. Qi Yifeng, the other 8 patriarchs, Qiyu, and the others were all terrified. Such means were too terrifying. Qin Feiyang was already shocking enough, but they did not expect another white-eyed wolf to jump out. What kind of monsters were these? Qi Ji saw the intense murderous intent of the white-eyed wolf and said, Golden-winged Wolf King, I beg you, please have mercy. Although Qi Xiong was rude and unreasonable and did not get along with him, he was still his younger brother and a supreme expert of the Fire Qilin clan. If Qi Xiong really died in the hands of the white-eyed wolf, it would be an irreparable loss for the Fire Qilin clan. However, the white-eyed wolf turned a deaf ear to him. Its claws slowly closed. Qi Xiong's divine soul was being destroyed bit by bit. Brother Qin. Seeing this, Qi Ji hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang for help. Because only Qin Feiyang could restrain the white-eyed wolf here. Senior's face, when Qi Yu and the others came to provoke us, this junior had already given them face. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, grabbed the death god's sword, and directly slashed at Qi Yifeng. Ah! Accompanied by a shrill scream, Qi Yifeng's body also shattered on the spot. Following closely, Qin Feiyang also grabbed Qi Yifeng's divine soul and said with a faint smile, all these years, since we stepped into the sky cloud realm, we have been hunted down, especially by the dragons and ice phoenixes. In order to kill us, it can be said that they have spent a lot of money. Since the opportunity is now in front of us, why don't I take this opportunity to kill one to warn the others? Kill one to warn the others. Qi Ji's eyes trembled. It seemed that the killing intent of this man and wolf could no longer be quelled. Boom! The next moment, the aura of a sovereign divine weapon erupted from Qi Ji's body. Senior, what is the meaning of this? Qin Feiyang looked at Qi Ji. This person, although he looked kind, was actually very dark and shrewd. Qi Ji sighed, you want to use my patriarch to intimidate the dragons and Feng people, how can I sit back and do nothing? As Qi Ji's voice fell, the other 8 patriarchs walked to Qi Ji's side one after another. The aura of a sovereign divine weapon rolled in this galaxy like a tide. Hey! The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. This kind of situation was more interesting. Chapter 36-24. The tense atmosphere reappeared once again. And this time, because of Qi Ji's participation, the atmosphere was even more solemn. Qi Ji was the patriarch of the Fire Qilin clan. The Fire Qilin was the leader of the Qilin clan. Therefore, Qi Ji represented the entire Qilin clan. So lively. But suddenly, accompanied by laughter, a fiery red beast shadow appeared in the Star River. This voice, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were taken aback. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice and saw a Fire Qilin standing nearby. As he looked at the Fire Qilin, a familiar feeling immediately emerged from the depths of Qin Feiyang's heart. Long time no see. The fire Kylin looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with a smile in its flaming eyes. Long time no see. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. After so many years, the fire Kylin had not changed except for its cultivation. It was as friendly as ever. Qilin Saint. At the same time, Qi Ji and the others also bowed. What? Qilin Saint? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. Was the fire Kylin status so high in the Kylin clan? Even the patriarchs of the various clans had to bow. Princess Xiaofan and the others were also surprised. They had never heard that the Kylin clan had a Qilin Saint, and he was an old friend that Qin Feiyang and the others were looking for. This relationship was a little scary. The fire Kylin glanced at Qi Ji and the others, then looked at Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng's divine souls. Then, it looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said with a smile, "You should at least give me some face." The man and the wolf looked at each other and smiled. They directly let go of Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng's divine souls. After the two of them were freed, they immediately rushed to Qi Ji and the others, their faces were full of horror. Qi Ji and the others were also relieved. Fortunately, the Qilin Saint arrived. Otherwise, even if they attacked, Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng would definitely die. Because their divine souls were in the hands of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, it would be a piece of cake for them to destroy their divine souls. Thank you. The fire Qilin smiled. Why are you still so polite? The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. Back in the Forgotten Continent, in order to save Qin Feiyang, the fire Qilin had encountered many dangers. If it wasn't for the fact that the Mu family wanted to subdue the fire Qilin would have already been killed. Although it was Qin Feiyang and the others who went to save it later, this kindness could not be forgotten. The fire Qilin smiled, looked at Qi Ji and the others and said, "Let's end this matter here. Kirin Saint's son, you can't side with them like this." Qi Yefeng roared, "These two bastards, not only did they deprive me of the law of life, but they also almost destroyed my soul." But before Qi Yefeng could finish, the fire Qilin said indifferently, "Didn't you ask for it? If you don't provoke them, will they deprive you of the law of life?" But, Qi Yefeng was unwilling. "No buts." The fire Qilin shook its head and said coldly, "This is the order of the master, it ends here." Hearing this, Qi Yefeng's gaze trembled, and she immediately lowered her head. "Master?" Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were puzzled. Princess Xiaofan said telepathically, "As the Kirin Saint's son, his master must be the Kirin master without a doubt." Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other, walked to the front of the fire Qilin, and laughed, "You're doing well. You're mocking me, right?" The fire Qilin pouted. "How is that possible?" "Truth. If we knew you were doing so well, we would have come to seek refuge with you." The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. The fire Qilin was speechless. "Let's not talk about this first." Qin Feiyang stopped the white-eyed wolf from speaking again, looked at the fire Qilin and said in a low voice, "I have something to talk to you about." "What is it?" The fire Qilin was suspicious. "It's something very important." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he put away the death god's sword and the horsetail whisk, and then brought the white-eyed wolf and the fire Qilin into the black tortoise realm. As for Princess Xiaofan and the other three, now that the crisis had been resolved, the Kirin clan would definitely not hurt them anymore. However, Princess Xiaofan was extremely dissatisfied with Qin Feiyang's actions. He actually left them behind again. What was the matter that couldn't be seen? On the other side, Qi Yueying said angrily, "I'm not willing, I'm really not willing." One of the patriarchs sighed, "This is the Kirin master's intention. What can we do even if we're not willing? The Kirin master is obviously protecting them. In any case, I'm not convinced." Qi Yueying snorted coldly. When the patriarchs heard this, they all fell silent. Indeed. This resentment was really hard to dispel. Qi Yu's eyes flashed with a hint of resentment, and he said telepathically, "Father, I have an idea." Qi Xiong looked at him suspiciously. Thunder punishment heaven stairway. Qi Yu thought. Thunder punishment heaven stairway. Hearing this, Qi Xiong's eyes flashed with a bright light. At the same time. Black Tortoise Realm. The Fire Qilin scanned the current Black Tortoise Realm and exclaimed, "I never thought that the legendary Black Tortoise Realm would be like this. It is truly an eye-opener. The reason why the Black Tortoise Realm is able to reach this day is all thanks to the ancient castle." Qin Feiyang smiled and lowered his head to look at the ancient castle, his eyes filled with gratitude. If not for the ancient castle fusing with the Black Tortoise Realm, the Black Tortoise Realm would not have the time array. Without the time array, it would be impossible for it to grow so quickly. This holy artifact is indeed beyond imagination. The Fire Qilin lowered his head to size up the ancient castle and nodded with a smile. Qin Feiyang said, "The reason I came to find you this time is for the ancient castle." Huh? The Fire Qilin looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. How did the ancient castle have anything to do with it? Follow me. Qin Feiyang flew towards the ancient castle. The Fire Qilin and the white-eyed wolf quickly followed. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the ancient castle and explained, "According to the ancient castle, there is another layer of seal that requires our blood essence to break." "You have my blood essence?" The Fire Qilin was stunned. "Yes. I don't know why. But since the ancient castle said so, it must be able to break the seal." Qin Feiyang took out a drop of blood essence. The Fire Qilin looked suspiciously at the ancient castle and also took out a drop of blood essence. The white-eyed wolf at the side was filled with anticipation. Qin Feiyang and the Fire Qilin exchanged a glance and waved their hands at the same time. 2 drops of blood essence flew into the ancient castle, landing in the middle of the hall. Wang! In that instant, rays of black divine light bloomed. Pei Daisen and Pei Hongyu were tending to the Longjing tea trees in the tea garden when they sensed the movements in the ancient castle. When they saw Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the Fire Qilin, they were stunned. Where did this Fire Qilin come from? But soon, they came back to their senses and looked at the ancient castle in surprise. "Young lord, what's going on?" "Don't worry, this is a good thing." The white-eyed wolf chuckled. "A good thing?" The siblings were puzzled. As time passed, the divine light emitted by the ancient castle became even more dazzling. Suddenly, on the floor of the ancient castle hall, a dazzling array formation appeared. Time array formation. The siblings were shocked. Following the appearance of the time array formation, the entire Black Tortoise world sky was filled with divine light, startling all living beings. They all thought that a miracle had appeared and couldn't help but kneel on the ground in worship. A few breaths later, the time array formation left the ancient castle and gradually rose into the sky, then expanded infinitely. In the end, the entire Black Tortoise world sky became a huge array formation, shining with dazzling light. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the Fire Qilin all looked up at the sky. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's eyes were filled with anticipation. The Fire Qilin's eyes were filled with confusion. What was going on? Not to mention the time array formation, how did the ancient castle's seal have anything to do with it? Time passed breath by breath. About an hour later, the time array formation in the sky gradually merged into the sky and disappeared. All the strange phenomena slowly returned to normal. The moment the time array merged into the sky, Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled slightly, then a look of ecstasy appeared on his face because a message appeared in his mind. "How is it?" the white-eyed wolf asked anxiously. 5,000 years. Qin Feiyang was so excited that he couldn't even speak clearly. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf was also overjoyed. What 5,000 years? The Fire Qilin and Pei Dason looked at them suspiciously. The time array. The time array of the Black Tortoise world changed from 1,000 years a day to 500 years a day. Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them and shouted excitedly. What? When the Fire Qilin and Pei Dason heard this, their eyes were filled with shock. 1,000 years a day, 5,000 years a day, this wasn't just 2 times, it was 5 times. Let's not talk about the Fire Qilin first. Even the Pei Dason siblings, who had lived for more than half their lives, had never seen a time array that was 5,000 years a day. At this moment, they couldn't help but feel lucky. If their father hadn't decided to follow Qin Feiyang back then, would they be able to enjoy such benefits now? Not only for them, but for the entire Black Tortoise world, this was a great blessing. 5,000 years, heh. Now, I don't envy that little rabbit at all. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. In the past, every time he came to Sky Cloud Island, he would think about the little rabbit's time array. After all, a time array that was 5,000 years a day was a fatal temptation in anyone's eyes. However, the little rabbit was very stingy. Not to mention cultivating it, it wasn't even willing to look at it. Now, he was finally at ease. Now that the Black Tortoise world also had such a time array, he didn't need to envy others anymore. The Fire Qilin came back to his senses and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. He said unhappily, "So the reason you came to find me was to undo the seal, not because you missed me." The man and wolf were stunned when they heard this, then they rolled their eyes. Just kidding. Although the time array of the Black Tortoise world has evolved, you can't be too happy. The Fire Qilin warned. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were suspicious. The Fire Qilin said, because the Feng people, dragons, and Qilins all have time arrays that are 5,000 years a day. So that's it. The white-eyed wolf chuckled and waved his paws. We already knew. Don't worry, no matter what, we will do our best against these people from the Forbidden Lands. If the dragons and the Feng people had time arrays like this, then the Qilins would definitely be no exception. Chapter 36-25. You know? The Fire Qilin was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and smiled. Looks like I was worried for nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Suddenly, he frowned and asked the Fire Qilin, "Who exactly is that white-bearded old man?" White-bearded old man? The Fire Qilin was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, "He's Qi Xiaoyan's teacher." Him? The Fire Qilin smiled in realization. After pondering for a while, he looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said, "Don't underestimate this person. His true form is a white jade Qilin. He once saved Qi Xiaoyan." White jade Qilin? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. That's right. The Fire Qilin nodded and continued, "Although he once saved Qi Xiaoyan, Qi Ji respects him so much not because of that." Then why? The white-eyed wolf was curious. Because of his strength. His strength is the strongest existence in the entire Qilin clan, excluding my master, the Qilin master. People like Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng can't even fight back in front of him. The Fire Qilin said. That can't be. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked. Why would I lie to you? The Fire Qilin looked unhappy and said, "However, I'm not sure how strong he is. In any case, my master told me to respect him. Looks like we've really underestimated him in the past." Qin Feiyang muttered. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a while and asked suspiciously, "If he's so strong, why is he still an outsider? With his strength and status, he can easily occupy a place for the white jade Qilin in the Qilin's sacred ground. There are very few white jade Qilins in the first place. There's no need for that." Or maybe he doesn't want to be involved in these troublesome matters. The Fire Qilin shook his head. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, then this old man told us that there are 3 old friends in the Qilin sacred ground. Who are they? Them. I reckon that they have already received the news that you have entered the Qilin Holy Land. Maybe he's waiting outside the Star River. The Fire Qilin didn't say it out loud and kept them in suspense. Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other, their hearts filled with anticipation. Wait. Why don't I see anyone else? The Fire Qilin suddenly glanced at the Devil's Land and asked suspiciously. They are all cultivating in seclusion outside. Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, do you want us to take you around for a stroll? The future is long. Fire Qilin said. Understood. Qin Feiyang nodded and closed his eyes. His perception instantly enveloped the entire Black Tortoise world. The next moment, Qin Feiyang's faintly discernible voice resounded in the minds of every living being. Everyone, there is no need to panic. Previously, because the Black Tortoise world's time array evolved, a series of strange phenomena appeared. Now, the Black Tortoise world's time array is 5,000 years in a day. Everyone, cultivate well. After speaking, Qin Feiyang left the Black Tortoise world with the Fire Qilin and White-Eyed Wolf. 5,000 years in a day. There is actually such a terrifying time array in this world? This is really an eye-opener. Thank you, Lord Ruler. Everyone was amazed and grateful at the same time, thinking that this was a blessing from Qin Feiyang. Of course. To them, it was indeed a blessing. Outside the Star River. After Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf appeared, their gazes swept past the white-bearded old man. Who would have thought that the cowardly old man in the tea house was actually such a terrifying existence? Let's go. The Fire Qilin glanced at the crowd and smiled at Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf. Qilin Saint's son, wait. But at this moment, Qi Xiong stepped forward and looked at the Fire Qilin. The Fire Qilin looked at Qi Xiong suspiciously. Qi Ji and the others also looked at him with a puzzled expression. This matter is indeed our fault. First, these unfilial children provoked us for no reason, then we did not understand right from wrong. I am here to apologize to Qin Feiyang and Wolf King for what happened before. Qi Xiong said. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other. In the blink of an eye, his temperament had changed so much. Princess Xiaofan could not help but be very surprised. She transmitted her voice, Daifuku, is this Qi Xiong's character? No, it doesn't. Daifuku shook his head. He still understood Qi Xiong. How could he be such a person? Just when everyone thought that they were going to bury the hatchet, Qi Xiong changed the topic and said, but Qin Feiyang and Golden Wing Wolf King deprived Qi Yu and the others of their laws and cultivation, and even robbed Qi Yefeng of her life laws. Isn't this a bit too much? As expected, it's not that simple. Qin Feiyang muttered. The Fire Qilin frowned and said, then what do you want? Qi Xiong said, since I have already sincerely apologized, then I also ask Qin Feiyang and Golden Wing Wolf King to show their sincerity and make a trip to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs. What? Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs. The Fire Qilin's pupils shrank. Princess Xiaofan and the other 3 also changed their expressions, as if this Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs was something extraordinary. At the same time, Qi Ji and the others also looked at Qi Xiong in shock. But very quickly, Qi Yefeng and the others reacted and nodded, that's right, as long as Qin Feiyang and Golden Wing Wolf King head to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs and successfully reach the top, then from now on, we will treat them as our own clansmen. This is a rude request, I will not agree. The Fire Qilin shook its head. Qi Xiong said, if the Holy Son of Qilin does not agree, we naturally do not dare to say anything, but can you influence Qin Fei Yang and Golden Wing Wolf King's decision? The Fire Qilin raised its eyebrows. What exactly is the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs? Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf looked at the Fire Qilin suspiciously. The Fire Qilin thought, this is a place where 9 out of 10 die. 9 out of 10 die? Qin Fei Yang was startled. That's right. The Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs is a type of extreme punishment, specially used to punish the Qilin clansmen who have committed a huge mistake. The Heavenly Stairs has a total of 999 steps, which are enveloped by the Thunder Tribulation. The higher you go, the more terrifying the power of the Thunder Tribulation is. Not to mention outsiders, even the Qilin clansmen have never succeeded in reaching the top since ancient times, because they would have been killed by the Thunder Tribulation halfway up, their souls and bodies destroyed. The Fire Qilin secretly explained. Damn! The White-Eyed Wolf cursed angrily. These people were really sinister. But, the Fire Qilin opened its mouth again, but it did not continue speaking, as if it was hesitating about something. But what? Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf were puzzled. The Fire Qilin shook its head and said, it's better that you guys don't know, lest you really go and take the risk. Are we the kind of people who are impulsive? Since the Fire Qilin did not say anything, Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf were naturally even more curious. The Fire Qilin struggled for a moment and transmitted its voice. I once heard Master mention that although the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs is a type of extreme punishment, it also hides a great fortune. Fortune? Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf were startled. That's right. The Fire Qilin nodded. The White-Eyed Wolf urged, what kind of fortune is it? Can you say it clearly? The Fire Qilin pondered for a moment and transmitted its voice, it's possible, to see the ultimate profound. What? Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf's eyes trembled. There was actually such a fortune. Was it real or fake? Why did it sound so unreliable? Master definitely won't lie to me. Wait. It seems that someone has climbed the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs before. The Fire Qilin suddenly looked at the white-bearded old man. Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf heard this and could not help but look at the white-bearded old man. The white-bearded old man was somewhat baffled. Why are you all looking at me, this old man? The Fire Qilin transmitted its voice. It seems to be many years ago, probably before we were born, he seems to have successfully reached the top. Qin Fei Yang and White-Eyed Wolf's eyes narrowed. I seem to remember Master saying that, but it's been too long, so I can't remember it clearly. The Fire Qilin shook its head. The man and wolf lowered their heads and pondered. If they could really see the ultimate profound, even if it was just a glance from afar, it would be a great fortune for them. But was that the case? Qi Xiong provoked, Qin Fei Yang, Golden-Winged Wolf King, you can already be called human kings and beast gods now. Don't tell me that you don't even dare to do this? Humph. The White-Eyed Wolf raised its eyebrows and looked at Qi Xiong, preparing to speak. Don't be anxious. I'll go and confirm with Master. Because the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs hidden good fortune, even Qi Xiong and the others don't know about it. But even if it's true, I sincerely hope that you guys don't take the risk. The Fire Qilin transmitted its voice. If it's true, we must go. Not for Qi Xiong and the others, but just to see the divine might of the ultimate profound. Qin Fei Yang thought. I knew it would be like this. The Fire Qilin smiled bitterly. It really hadn't changed at all. It looked at Qi Xiong and the others and said lightly, we'll talk about the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs later. Let's go out first. Since Qin Fei Yang and the White-Eyed Wolf didn't directly refuse, Qi Xiong and the others naturally couldn't continue to make things difficult. Besides, they also knew their limits. Even if Qin Fei Yang and the White-Eyed Wolf refused, they didn't dare to force it. After all, the Qilin master had already said that it was time to stop. When the group walked out of the galaxy, the white-bearded old man waved his hand, and the dark law that sealed the entrance immediately dissipated. This dark law. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Although the dark law disappeared very quickly, from that moment, he caught a trace of an extremely terrifying sense of crisis. What was going on? How could a mere dark law give him such a sense of crisis? He turned to the white-eyed wolf next to him and found that the white-eyed wolf was also looking at the white-bearded old man with a look of horror. What's wrong? You also felt something strange? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Yes. He has mastered the supreme profound of the 6 supreme laws. Looking at his dark law, I feel fear. Could it be that his dark law contains the aura of the ultimate profound? The white-eyed wolf was bewildered. Ultimate profound, Qin Feiyang's heart trembled as well. This seemed to be the only explanation, because the only things that could surpass the supreme profound of the 6 supreme laws were the ultimate laws and the sovereign divine weapon. However, this was too unbelievable. The white-bearded old man had mastered the ultimate profound? No. If he had really mastered the profound, even if he was an outsider, Qi Xiong and the others wouldn't dare to be presumptuous in front of him. Perhaps the white-bearded old man had only just begun to understand the true ultimate profound and hadn't comprehended it yet. If that was the case, then the ultimate profound was too powerful. The white-bearded old man's dark law was already so powerful at first glance. If he comprehended the ultimate profound, wouldn't it be comparable to heaven's might? Chapter 36-26. Outside the Milky Way. There was a sea of people at this time. When Qin Feiyang and the others walked out, their faces were full of disbelief. What happened? Qin Feiyang and the golden-winged wolf king were unharmed? Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng had both lost their physical bodies. Could it be that Qin Feiyang and the golden-winged wolf king won this battle? But how was this possible? Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng were both super strong. How could a mere human and a wolf cub be stronger than them? There was definitely something wrong. Qi Xiong and the golden-winged wolf king's bodies were definitely not caused by them. Yes. Even if the truth was in front of them, no one believed it. Give me a moment. Fire Qilin told Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, then turned around and flew away without looking back. What's going on? Qi Xiong and the others looked at Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and Fire Qilin's backs in confusion. But Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf did not explain and scanned the crowd in front of them. There were probably hundreds of thousands of people here. They were all Qilins. There were men and women, old and young. There were also some Qilins who did not transform into human form. Further away, there was a large number of Qilins. It was hard to imagine how many Qilins there were in the Qilin sacred ground. But at this moment, their faces were full of doubts. Usually, it's hard to even meet one Qilin outside, but there are so many here. How should we describe this? Yes, yes, yes. 3 words, as many as a dog. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Bastard. Who are you calling a dog? Say it again if you have the guts. The white-eyed wolf's words fell clearly into the ears of all the Qilins. They immediately glared at the white-eyed wolf. Especially Qi Xiong and the 9 patriarchs, they were furious. How dare he call them dogs in public? How arrogant. Don't misunderstand, it's just an adjective. Of course. If you want to say it, I won't object. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Bastard. I'll kill you. Looking at the arrogant white-eyed wolf, a few youths in the crowd gritted their teeth and pounced on Qin. No. Qi's expression quickly. But it was too late. The white-eyed wolf took a step forward and slapped out with its claws. Several people screamed on the spot as their bodies shattered in the void. Blood dyed the sky, and only their souls remained. So Wei. They Qilan God Wei Wei. Wei Qilan Wei, the Wei Qilans were shocked. Don't even mention a mere large success dominator or perfect dominator, even a perfect dominator is nothing in my eyes. The ingrate's face was full of disdain. As he spoke, he glanced at Qi Xiong. Qi Xiong sensed the ingrate's gaze and immediately trembled with anger. Quiet down, all of you. Qi Ji looked at the noisy clansmen and shouted with a gloomy face. The battle in the galaxy was already embarrassing enough. How could they bring shame to the Qilan race? At the same time, Qin Feiyang turned a blind eye to this scene, and turned a deaf ear to it. His gaze was constantly scanning the surrounding crowd, as if he was looking for a familiar face. This was because the Fire Qilan had said that the other three old friends might be waiting for them outside the galaxy. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes focused on the back of the crowd. He looked pleasantly surprised and said in a low voice, "White-eyed wolf, look." The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He followed Qin Feiyang's gaze and looked over. He was also surprised. After confirming it several times, he was also pleasantly surprised. "Get out of the way." The white-eyed wolf roared, and a terrifying pressure rolled out. The Qilan in front felt an uncontrollable fear and retreated to the sides. Then, a man and a wolf walked toward the outside of the crowd. At the back of the crowd stood two men and a dog. One of them was a middle-aged man, wearing a fitted white robe. He had strands of white hair on his temples and his face looked weathered. The other man was a young man in black. His figure was as tall as a pine tree. His facial features were distinct and he had an extraordinary temperament. Next to the two of them was a big dog. Its body was more than 10 meters long. Its hair was as if dyed with blood and it emitted a shocking murderous aura. The most terrifying thing was, this big dog actually had 9 huge heads. 9 heads, 18 blood eyes, like 18 big lanterns, flashing fiercely. That's right. This big dog was the Hell Divine Hound. The Hell Divine Hound was known as the Guardian of Hell. It was ferocious in nature and its methods were ruthless. Especially the 9-headed Hell Divine Hound, it was basically the strongest existence. But at this moment, whether it was the Hell Divine Hound or the two humans, there was a smile in their eyes. Tan Wu, Hell Divine Hound, Uncle Divine Beast, Qin Feiyang walked over and looked at the 3 familiar faces. He was extremely excited. That's right. The 2 men and 1 dog in front of him were Tan Wu and the Hell Divine Hound, as well as the Uncle Divine Beast who had helped him many times. He never thought that they would also be in the Qilan Holy Land. The Hell Divine Hound bared its teeth and looked at the white-eyed wolf. It said in a fierce tone, "Just now you said something about dogs. Do you have any prejudice against dogs?" "Hey!" The white-eyed wolf also bared its teeth. It was an extremely happy thing to be able to meet a few old friends in the Sky Cloud realm. "Long time no see, Brother Qin is still as elegant as ever." Tan Wu laughed. "Long time no see, Brother Tan is not the same. His elegance is not less than before." Qin Feiyang also laughed. "They know each other too? Aren't you talking nonsense?" Tan Wu and the others were all brought by the Qilan Saint Sun. The Qilan Saint Sun knows Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King. Tan Wu and the others naturally know Qin Feiyang and the others. The Qilans around muttered. Uncle Beast God looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf like a kind elder. He was quite appreciative and gratified of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's current achievements. He said with a smile, "It's been hard on you all these years. How are you all?" "We're all good." Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf pursed its lips and said, "We went everywhere to look for you. I didn't expect you all to live better than us." "Looking for us?" 2 people and a dog looked at the white-eyed wolf in a daze. "What else? Since we entered the ancient world, we have been looking for your whereabouts. After leaving the ancient world and coming to the sky cloud realm, we haven't given up. You all are good. You are all alive and well. You all know that we have come to the sky cloud realm, but you all hide in the Qilan Holy Land and enjoy life. At least come out and tell us that you are safe." The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. "You have been looking for us." The 2 people and a dog looked at each other, and they couldn't help but feel touched. The white-eyed wolf looked at their reaction and frowned. "Don't tell us that you didn't know. We really didn't know before." Tan Wu smiled bitterly. "Huh?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "We also heard from the fire Qilan a few days ago that you all also came to the sky cloud realm. Even before, when we heard the news that you all entered the Qilan Holy Land, we thought it was a dream." The divine beast uncle shook his head. The white-eyed wolf frowned and said, "Are you kidding? We have long been famous in the sky cloud realm. You are really as shameless as ever. How can you brag about yourself?" The hell god dog glared at the white-eyed wolf in disdain and then said, "It is true that we only found out a few days ago. Although you were indeed famous in the sky cloud realm, your reputation did not spread to the Qilan Holy Land. Is that so?" The white-eyed wolf nodded in realization. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed so. Whether it was the Qilan Holy Land, the Dragon Nest, or the Phoenix Nest, they had never appeared in front of the world. Therefore, relatively speaking, the news was also relatively closed. Moreover, even if the upper echelons of the Qilan clan knew, they might not tell Tan Wu and the others. In short, it was a simple sentence. Tan Wu and the others were in the Qilan Holy Land, which was equivalent to being in a closed environment. If the Qilan clan did not reveal the news to them, they would know nothing about the outside world. Tan Wu took a deep breath and said with a smile, "No matter what, I have to thank you for not forgetting us." Qin Feiyang smiled and was about to speak. At this time, the fire Qilan broke through the air and came over. Looking at Tan Wu and the hell god dog, he said with a smile, "You guys are really here. Old friends are here, how can we not come and take a look?" Tan Wu smiled. The fire Qilan landed beside Qin Feiyang and said in a low voice, "Let's catch up later." I asked Master, the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway does indeed contain good fortune, and the white-bearded old man did succeed in reaching the top back then. So, he has really peaked at the threshold of the ultimate profound? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Maybe. But Master didn't say it clearly. However, I still advise you guys not to go. After all, from ancient times until now, other than the white-bearded old man, even the Qilan clan's past patriarchs have never succeeded in reaching the top. The fire Qilan said in a deep voice. What are you guys talking about? Tan Wu and the other 2 and the hell god dog looked at them suspiciously. The fire Qilan sighed, they want to go to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway. What? The 2 of them and the hell god dog's expressions changed. Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, this Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway is not a joke. Last time, we witnessed with our own eyes that a great perfection dominator realm Qilan was punished for committing a big mistake. In the end, it was still halfway there when it was completely annihilated. The divine beast uncle hurriedly advised. In the Qilan clan, the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway was an existence that caused people to tremble in fear. Even outsiders like them couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb when they heard about it. If there's no risk, where is the good fortune? Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. That's right. Wealth comes from danger. As long as we can glimpse the ultimate profound, even if it's a narrow escape, it's worth it. Let's talk about it later. It's not like no one has succeeded before. Didn't the white-bearded old man successfully reach the top? Since he can do it, why can't we do it? The white-eyed wolf nodded. Now was not the same as before. In the past, it could plunder and fuse the laws. But now, facing the ultimate profound, it also needed to comprehend it himself, so naturally, it couldn't be lazy anymore. Chapter 36-27. The white-eyed wolf's talent wasn't bad at all. And it was also a very persevering guy. For example, when it was in the ancient world, it had always been in seclusion in the black tortoise world and never ran around. As for coming to the black tortoise world, it indeed had the qualifications to be lazy. After all, who asked it to have such a heaven-defying talent? But now, it, who had already grasped 6 profound meanings, didn't dare to be lazy anymore. Otherwise, it would be caught up by Qin Feiyang and the madman sooner or later. Although Qin Feiyang and the madman had only comprehended 2 profound meanings, the white-eyed wolf never dared to doubt their speed. The most important thing was, now that the white-eyed wolf had reached the peak, other than the ultimate profound, there was nothing else to pursue. Moreover, its current goal was no longer the patriarchs of the various races, but existences like the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin Master. Although it didn't know how strong these 3 were, or if they had grasped the ultimate profound, as the 3 lords of the 3 forbidden lands, it definitely couldn't doubt their strength. In one sentence, if it wanted to lead the human race to revive, if it wanted to truly contend with the 3 forbidden lands, it must comprehend the ultimate profound. Tan Wu glanced at the Fire Qilin and Uncle Divine Beast, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with a smile. I have nothing to say, be careful. You, Uncle Divine Beast, glared at Tan Wu angrily. Tan Wu smiled faintly. Uncle, you can be considered to have watched them grow up, don't you know their personalities? Uncle Divine Beast's expression froze. The Hell God Hound also nodded. Instead of trying to stop them, it's better to encourage them. Uncle Divine Beast smiled bitterly. Indeed. After knowing each other for so many years, he should have long understood the temperament of these 2 little guys. Since they were young, they didn't know what the word give up meant. As long as they set their mind on something, they would always move towards this goal, no matter how difficult the journey was. Taking a deep breath, Uncle Divine Beast looked at the man and wolf and transmitted his voice. Since the Thunder Punishment Stairway hides good fortune, then you can only succeed and not fail. Of course. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf nodded, then looked at Qi Xiong and the others. Qi Xiong and the others were puzzled. What were these people muttering about? We're going to the Thunder Punishment Stairway. But we have 2 conditions. Qin said. We're really going? Qi Xiong and the others were stunned. What's going on? Why are they going to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway? The other clans, the Qilins. The Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs was an extremely dangerous place for their Qilin clan. When this name was mentioned, they would tremble with fear. However, this man and wolf actually took the initiative to go to the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs? Tease, SS. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Princess Fire Phoenix was so angry that she was trembling. She said angrily, how stupid. Gutsy. Qi Xiong's laughter followed. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at Qi Xiong. Qi Xiong praised, putting everything else aside, just this point alone is enough to make me admire you too. Then shouldn't we show a flattered expression to cooperate with you? The white-eyed wolf looked at him mockingly. Qi Xiong's smile froze. They were really making things difficult for him, not giving him any face. He asked, since you don't want to listen, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense. Say it, what are your conditions? Qin Feiyang said, first, if we succeed, let me and the White-Eyed Wolf inherit your Qilin clan's 2 great forbidden techniques. What? They're still thinking about our Qilin clan's 2 great forbidden techniques? What a joke. Even we don't have the qualifications to inherit the super forbidden technique, the Qilin divine realm. 2 outsiders want to inherit the forbidden technique. What a fantasy. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. They all stared angrily at the White-Eyed Wolf and Qin Feiyang. Second condition. When we succeed, you, Qi Xiong, must kneel in front of us in public and kowtow to us 3 times. Qin Feiyang spoke again. This was not the slightest bit of mercy. There was no need to show mercy to such a malicious person. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Feiyang didn't know that this was actually Qi Yu's idea, he wouldn't even let Qi Yu go. Qi Xiong's face immediately darkened. His eyes were burning with anger. They actually wanted to humiliate him in public? Father, they can't succeed. What are you afraid of? Qi Yu laughed secretly. That's true. Qi Xiong nodded and smiled. Do you think the Thunder Punishment Stairway is a joke? You want the 2 great forbidden techniques of the Qilin clan and want him to kneel and kowtow in public? Dream on. Okay. I agree to the second condition. Qi Xiong looked at Qin Feiyang and laughed straightforwardly. What about the first condition? Qin Feiyang asked. I can't make the decision on this matter. Qi Xiong shook his head. I agree. Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded from a distant mountain peak. The Qilin Lord. He is actually paying attention to the situation here. As soon as this voice came out, the whole place was in an uproar. The Qilin Lord? Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf were shocked and hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. However, it was too far away and they couldn't see anything. Qi Ji took a deep breath, looked at Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf and said, since even the ancestor has agreed, let's do it. Wait. I have something to say. Suddenly, Princess Huafeng stood up. Everyone couldn't help but look at Princess Huafeng. You guys are playing with Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King. Whether it is the forbidden techniques of the Feng people or the forbidden techniques of your Qilin clan and the dragons, they all require the same bloodline power to be passed down. And Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King don't have the bloodline power of the Qilin clan. How can they pass down the 2 great forbidden techniques? Princess Huafeng said. There's such a thing? Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf raised their eyebrows. Qi Xiong and the others looked at Princess Huafeng with killing intent in their eyes. What a meddlesome woman. Princess Huafeng looked at Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf, and secretly said, would I lie to you guys? It's absolutely true. Fuck. I was almost tricked by them. And this Qilin clan master, they actually joined forces to trick us? The White-Eyed Wolf was instantly furious. Although I can't pass down the forbidden techniques of the Qilin clan, I still have other forbidden techniques. If they really succeed in reaching the top, it means that they are indeed extraordinary. Why can't I give them a forbidden technique? The Qilin clan master's voice sounded again. Princess Huafeng's pupils shrank. To be able to receive a reward from the Qilin clan master was the glory of a genius. She really didn't expect the Qilin clan master to be so generous. Qi Xiong looked at Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf, and sneered, you guys won't doubt the old ancestor's words, right? Of course. What kind of existence is the Qilin clan master? Why would he deceive us juniors? However, Qin Feiyang looked up at the mountain peak and said loudly, Qilin clan master, what I said is not an ordinary forbidden technique, but a super forbidden technique. It's a deal. The hoarse voice sounded again. Straightforward. Qin Feiyang laughed and turned to look at Qi Xiong and the others, please lead the way. So anxious to die. Qi Xiong sneered secretly and turned to the northwest with Qi Yefeng and the others. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, the fire Qilin, Tan Wu, the divine beast uncle, and the hell god hound immediately followed. Sister, what should we do? Pyrotechnic Glow said telepathically. I have already advised them, but they are the ones who insist. Princess Huifeng snorted and also led the Daifuku brothers and Pyrotechnic Glow to chase after Qin Feiyang and the others. Qi Ji looked at the backs of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, and his eyes flickered. He suddenly asked, Old Bai, why are they so determined to go to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs? When the white-bearded old man heard this, his eyes flickered slightly, and he laughed hoarsely. Maybe it's because of their unwillingness to admit defeat. Unwillingness to admit defeat, Qi Ji murmured. The more others can't succeed, the more they want to try. In fact, many young people nowadays are like this. They have a competitive heart. The white-bearded old man laughed. Is that so? Why do I feel that you are not telling the truth? Qi Ji looked at the white-bearded old man with deep meaning. Because he believed that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were not such impulsive people, and they would not take such a big risk because of their so-called competitive spirit. The white-bearded old man's pupils shrank, and he asked suspiciously, Why do you say that? Because you are the only one who has successfully reached the top. I believe that other than the ancestor, no one knows the situation of the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs better than you. Even now I still remember that after you successfully reached the top, you sat at the top of the stairs for 3 whole years. The moment you woke up, you couldn't help but raise your head and laugh. After knowing you for so many years, this is the first time I have seen you so happy. Qi Ji transmitted. How can I not be happy after reaching the top and surviving a calamity? The white-bearded old man laughed hoarsely. Let's hope that is the case. After all, you are Xiaoyun's master. I also treat you as my big brother. I sincerely hope that you are not hiding anything from us. A smile appeared on Qi Ji's face as he flew toward the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs. The white-bearded old man looked at Qi Ji's back before raising his head to look at the peak where the Qilin master was. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. It was not that he did not want to say anything, but there were some things that one had to muster the courage to face personally. Only then would one be able to know the secrets hidden within. Only then would one have a chance to obtain the fortune. If one did not even have the courage to face it, what qualifications did one have to obtain the fortune? In fact, in the past, he had also hinted to Qi Xiaoyun that he should try the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs if he had the chance. But due to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs' reputation, not only did Qi Xiaoyun refuse to go, but Qi Ji also disagreed. What could he do? Could it be that he had to hold a knife to their necks and force them to go up the lightning punishment stairway? If that was the case, Qi Ji would fall out with him. What should we do? Of course, we have to go and take a look. I am really looking forward to seeing how those 2 arrogant bastards will die. After the big shots left, the Qilin clansmen also started heading toward the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs in a grandiose manner. Qi Xiong's group was not the only one. Even these people felt that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were courting death by challenging the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs. Chapter 36-28. Whoosh! In a certain courtyard. A red figure streaked across the sky and landed in the courtyard. Little Ing, why are you in such a hurry? Qi Xiaoyun was still alone in the tea garden, patiently pruning the leaves. It was as if nothing in this world could affect his calm state of mind. When he sensed the aura of the woman in red, he asked with a smile without even turning his head. Young master. Can you not be so serious? Be serious? Xiao Ying said angrily when he saw Qi Xiaoyun's calm and aloof attitude. What are you talking about? Qi Xiaoyun's arm trembled slightly as he asked doubtfully, "What's wrong? Why are you so angry?" Little Ying's face darkened as she asked, "Young master, are you not concerned about the battle at the River of Stars? The outcome is already within my expectations. Why should I be concerned?" Qi Xiaoyun smiled faintly. "All right then. Tell me, who won?" Little Ying asked angrily. Qi Xiaoyun stood before a tea tree and slowly pruned away an extra branch. He smiled and said, "Naturally, it was Qin Feiyang and Goldwing Wolf King." Little Ying looked at Qi Xiaoyun in astonishment. Qin Feiyang has 3,000 clones, the Eye of Heaven, the Slaughter Domain, and is already a peak sovereign. His strength is no longer what it used to be. As for Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng, although they both have 6 profundities, just the Eye of Heaven is enough to make up for Qin Feiyang's disadvantage. As for forbidden arts, the Eye of Heaven can also be duplicated. Therefore, Qin Feiyang won't be defeated even if he wants to. Qi Xiaoyun chuckled. Little Ying sank into silence. "Am I right?" Qi Xiaoyun asked with a smile. "I don't know either." Senior Bite sealed the entrance to the River of Stars. Apart from the Patriarch and the others, nobody knows about the battle at the River of Stars. However, when they came out, Qin Feiyang and Goldwing Wolf King were unharmed. Moreover, Goldwing Wolf King has also broken through to the peak sovereign realm. As for Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng, both of them have lost their physical bodies. "I guess, it's as you guessed." Xiaoying frowned. Even though the truth was right in front of her eyes, she was still unwilling to believe it. How could someone who had just broken through to the perfection sovereign realm defeat a super expert of their Qilin clan? After a long silence, Qi Xiaoyun smiled and said, "Little Ying, remember what I said today. Don't underestimate anyone in this world." "Yes." Xiaoying nodded respectfully and said, "They are now going to the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairs. Lightning Punishment Stairway." Qi Xiaoyun's body stiffened when he heard those words. Xiaoying said, "The super forbidden technique that Qin Feiyang mentioned in his conversation with the old ancestor was their wager for the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs." "Lightning Punishment Stairway to Heaven," Qi Xiaoyun muttered. Qin Feiyang wasn't such an impulsive person, otherwise, he wouldn't have survived until now under the pursuit of the dragons. Furthermore, a super forbidden technique was not worth risking his life for. Because to Qin Feiyang, the value of a super forbidden art wasn't that great. The Eye of Heaven could duplicate all forbidden arts. There had to be something else hidden in there. A trace of fear appeared in Little Ying's eyes. He shook his head and said, "Back then, Old Bai almost lost his life several times when he climbed the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs. Even now, I still can't help but feel afraid." "Master." When Qi Xiaoyun heard that, he had an idea. His calm eyes glowed as he said, "Go take a look at the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs." "Okay." Little Ying nodded and flew away. Qi Xiaoyun looked up at the sky and muttered, "Master, you have hinted at me several times to go to the Lightning Punishment Heavenly Stairs. I have already sensed that you were hinting at something. I have been pondering over it, but I have never been able to figure it out. Looks like this time, I will be able to solve the doubts in my heart." Qilin Sacred Ground. Northwest. There was a barren mountain range here. Not a single plant could be found, and the entire place was filled with an aura of death and destruction. Moreover, one could clearly see the inner region from here. In other words, this mountain range was close to the inner region. At the center of the mountain range, there was a square that was about 1,000 zhang wide. It looked like a huge altar. A layer of black stones covered the altar. They had long been eroded by the passage of time and were emitting an ancient aura. At the center of the square, there was a stone staircase. The stone staircase was about 5 meters wide, and each step was half a qi tall. 999 steps led to the sky, and the staircase was covered with boundless blood-red lightning. It emitted an aura of destruction that made people stop when they looked at it. However, the aura was outside the square and could not be sensed. Swish! Qin Feiyang and his group flew over like lightning and landed in front of the square. They raised their heads and looked at the stairway to heaven. Huh! The white-eyed wolf was surprised. The entire staircase was covered in blood-red lightning, but why couldn't they sense any aura? Qi Yu looked at the staircase and sneered. He turned to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said, "Qin Feiyang, Goldwing Wolf King, it's too late to regret now. Please. Be careful." The Fire Qilin, Tan Wu, and Cerberus warned. Okay. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf nodded. They glanced at Qi Xiong and the others, then stepped on the stairs and walked into the square. The moment they entered the square, a terrifying aura of destruction suddenly shrouded them like a tide. The man and the wolf trembled and immediately felt a strong sense of crisis. They could not sense any aura outside the square. Inside the square, waves were rolling. Was there an invisible boundary around the square that blocked the aura of the thunder tribulation? But when they stepped into the square, they did not encounter any boundary. Was it man-made? Suddenly, the man and the wolf looked at each other, and the same thought appeared in their minds at the same time. Was the aura of the thunder tribulation controlled by someone? If so, how terrifying was the strength of this person? Was it the owner of the Qilin? Little Qin Zi, look at the top of the staircase. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf's eyes were fixed on the top of the staircase, and there was a trace of surprise on his face. Qin Feiyang looked up, and there was a trace of suspicion on his face. The entire staircase was submerged by the thunder tribulation, but there was no trace of the thunder tribulation at the top of the staircase. Instead, there was a dark cloud that covered half of the sky. And as the dark clouds continued to surge, they seemed to transform into many ancient giant beasts, emitting an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Don't tell me there's something terrifying hidden in these dark clouds. The white-eyed wolf swallowed and said. Don't scare yourself. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes, took out his horsetail whisk, and said, Follow the white-eyed wolf. Swish! The horsetail whisk disappeared into the white-eyed wolf's body. In case there was any danger, the sovereign divine weapon could help. Then, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf took out their interspatial rings and sent them to the castle. After they were fully prepared, the man and the wolf took a deep breath and finally stepped forward, step by step, toward the staircase. Sovereign divine weapons are not allowed to enter the thunder tribulation staircase. But before they got close to the staircase, the Lord of Kailan's voice sounded again. As the Lord of Kailan's voice fell, a blood-red lightning fell from the staircase in front of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf couldn't help but stop. Looking at the blood-red lightning in front of them, they raised their eyebrows. If you want to use your sovereign divine weapons, you'd better admit defeat. Qi Xiong sneered. Admit defeat? The man and the wolf snorted and shouted, Sword of Thanatos, horsetail whisk, wait outside. Clang! The two sovereign divine weapons immediately flew out of their bodies and floated in front of the entrance of the square. Qin Feiyang glanced at Qi Xiong and the others, then looked at the two sovereign divine weapons and said, While the white-eyed wolf and I are climbing the staircase, if anyone dares to do anything, don't show any mercy. Just kill without mercy. Okay. The Sword of Thanatos' artifact spirit replied. Let's go. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and stepped forward again. The blood-red lightning in front of him automatically dispersed. Soon, the man and the wolf walked to the bottom of the staircase. They ignored the terrifying aura and directly stepped onto the first step. The moment they stepped onto the staircase, countless blood-red lightning fell and drowned the man and the wolf. "You're worried that we'll do something? We've already stepped onto the staircase. Do we still need to worry? Just wait and see. Soon, you'll see how terrifying the Thunder Tribulation staircase is. By then, it'll be too late for regrets." Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng glanced at the two sovereign divine weapons at the entrance of the square, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. They couldn't help but sneer in their hearts. Chapter 36-29. Stairway to Heaven. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood on the stairway, one on the left and the other on the right. The lightning tribulation around them was like a storm, bombarding their bodies. It was no exaggeration to say that. The power of the lightning tribulation could kill a sovereign in a few breaths. Fortunately, the man and the wolf had broken the limit of their physical bodies. The strength of the supreme level was still bearable at the moment. "It's not a big deal." The white-eyed wolf glanced at the lightning tribulation around him and laughed. "Don't be careless. It's just the beginning." Qin Feiyang looked up and scanned the stairway from bottom to top. 999 steps, for him and the white-eyed wolf, it was just a step away. However, there was not only the lightning tribulation on the stairway, but also a terrifying pressure that made his body feel like it was in a quagmire. The most important thing was, this pressure also seemed to contain a power that restricted his mystique, preventing him from teleporting or activating his assist-type mystique. The distance of one step could not reach 10,000 miles at the peak. Now, he was like an ordinary person. For every step, he could only take one step. In other words, he could only take one step at a time to reach the top of the stairway. Soon, the man and the wolf stepped on the 100th step. The 100th step was slightly wider than the other steps, about 1 meter wide. It should be a place for people to rest temporarily. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood on the stairway and did not feel too much pressure. The lightning tribulation around them was still bearable. It can't be. They climbed the 100th step so easily. I remember that there was one last time. He was also a sovereign. When he climbed the 100th step, his body started to break. Below, someone exclaimed in disbelief. What's so surprising about this? They have already broken the limit of their physical bodies. The current power of the lightning tribulation can't threaten them at all. However, humph. When they reach the 500th step, they will slowly taste the taste of despair. Qi Yu snorted. Breaking the limits of the physical body? They can even do this? Many people in the Qilin clan did not know that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf had already broken through the limits of their physical bodies. Therefore, when they heard this, they could not help but feel shocked. He said bluntly, breaking through the limits of one's physical body was even harder than comprehending an ultimate law. Because even if it was their Qilin clan, there was not a single person who could break through the limits of the fleshly body. Not to mention the Qilin clan, even in the entire Sky Cloud realm, including the various forbidden areas, there were probably only a handful of them. This man and wolf were indeed monstrous talents. As for breaking the limits of the physical body, everyone from the Qilin clan exclaimed in admiration. But what followed was regret. Originally, they all had great futures ahead of them, but because of a moment of impulse, they ignored the advice of others and stepped onto the lightning punishment heavenly stairs, wasting their talents for nothing. Stairway to Heaven. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf took another step forward and headed up. Several hundred breaths passed. The man and the wolf finally reached the 500th step. The tribulation here was completely different. Even their physical bodies began to feel threatened. Crack. Boom. As the tribulation lightning fell, it continuously struck their bodies, causing bloody scars to appear on their bodies. A good show has officially begun. Qiyu pursed his lips into a cold smile. The stairway to heaven had a total of 999 steps. The first 500 steps were nothing at all. Anyone with the ability would be able to successfully climb up. But the next few hundred steps could be said to be a natural moat. Once, the people of the Qilin clan who were punished basically died between the 500th and 600th steps. No one had ever been able to surpass this limit. Just as Qiyu's imagination was running wild, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf took another step forward. And they directly stepped onto the 700th step in a spurt of energy. What? Not only Qiyu, but Qi Xiong and the others, as well as the surrounding Qilin clan members, were all dumbfounded as they looked at the two figures on the stairway to heaven. They actually climbed the 700th step without panting. It must be fake. Was the elder ancestor secretly helping them? Don't worry. They must be able to climb the 700th step because their physical bodies are strong. Yes, yes, yes. They broke the limit of their physical bodies. Their endurance is naturally stronger than those who have died on the stairway to heaven. I bet that they definitely won't be able to reach the 800th step. The prince and princess of the 9 clans sneered. When Qiyu heard that, he also felt that it made sense. He couldn't help but sneer. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. After reaching the 700th step, their bodies were almost completely mangled and blood flowed all over the ground. They are indeed quite powerful. But, that's all there is to it. The white-eyed wolf cackled. A majestic life force emerged and shrouded him and Qin Feiyang. That was the law of life. Qin Feiyang also had a trace of a smile on his face. Although his injuries were a little serious, with the law of life, it was nothing. But the next moment, their expressions stiffened and they turned to look at each other, their eyes full of disbelief. At this moment, the life force around them was clearly visible. Moreover, they could also clearly feel that the life force was madly pouring into their bodies. But, in the face of such majestic life force, the injuries on their bodies didn't show any signs of recovery. What the hell? One had to know. The law of life that the white-eyed wolf had plundered had reached the level of the supreme profound meaning. Not long ago in the battle in the galaxy, the healing effect brought by Qi Yefeng's law of life was obvious to all. Even 6,000 supreme nomological laws couldn't destroy her physical body. Therefore, the healing effect of the life nomological law could only be described as terrifying. But now, such a powerful law of life couldn't heal the injuries on their bodies? This was very difficult for them to accept. Naive. This scene was also seen by Qi Xiong and the others. There was a trace of ridicule at the corner of their mouths. If the law of life was useful, then Qi Yefeng would have relied on it to reach the top of the stairway to heaven long ago. It wasn't just the law of life. On the thunder punishment stairway, any law was useless. One could only rely on one's own ability to reach the top. This was the most terrifying part of the thunder punishment stairway to heaven. But on the stairway to heaven, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf didn't panic. What a joke. They hadn't experienced any risks all the way to this day. How could such a small matter affect their state of mind? Discovering this abnormality, the man and the wolf immediately took a step forward. As they walked up the stairway to heaven, they carefully observed. Because the truth was already set. Even if they stayed on the 700th step, it wouldn't change anything. On the contrary, now that they were in danger, the more they stayed on the steps, the more dangerous it would be. So, it was better to observe as they walked. When they reached the 750th step, they finally found the reason. It turned out that the thunder tribulation was causing trouble. This thunder tribulation contained an ability that could destroy the law of life and heal. It was precisely because of the destruction of the thunder tribulation that the law of life couldn't heal the injuries on their bodies. After finding this reason, the man and the wolf naturally didn't dare to stay any longer. They rushed up the 800th step in one breath. The injuries on their bodies became more and more serious. Even the bones in their flesh and blood could be seen. To actually be able to reach the 800th step and break the limits of the physical body, is the physical body so strong? From the time I was born until now, this is the first time I've seen someone reach this step. The key is still a mere human and a lowly wolf. The younger generation of the Kirin clan was shocked to the extreme when they saw this scene. It's impossible to succeed. The last 199th step is the real impasse. Qiyu clenched his hands tightly. This had already far exceeded his expectations. He originally thought that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf would at most reach the 700th step. But now, they had actually succeeded in reaching the 800th step. Although they were also riddled with scars, no one in the entire Kirin clan could compare to this achievement. Because of this, it made him jealous. As a peerless genius of the Kirin clan, he didn't even have the courage to step onto the thunder punishment stairway. But not only did the man and the wolf take the initiative to come, but they also surpassed the limits left by their former clansmen again and again. He was not convinced. These two damned outsiders must die on the stairway to heaven. On the stairway, facing the endless thunder tribulation, the white-eyed wolf also felt a trace of fear in his heart. He turned to Qin Feiyang and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and take out the divine life pill." Their interspatial rings had been sent to the ancient castle in advance, so now, they had to go through Qin Feiyang's hands. Only then could the white-eyed wolf get the law of life. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a thought, 2 divine life pills appeared. One for each person and quickly swallowed them. However, an unexpected scene happened again. After the divine life pill entered the body, it was destroyed by the thunder tribulation and lost its effect. Damn it! The white-eyed wolf shouted angrily. Although the fire Qilin and Princess Huifeng repeatedly said that the thunder punishment stairway was terrifying, they didn't say that even the law of life and the divine life pill were useless. The thunder tribulation was getting stronger and stronger, and the injuries were getting worse and worse. If they couldn't recover, how could they reach the top? We choose the path ourselves. No matter how dangerous it is, we have to face it. Qin Feiyang grabbed the white-eyed wolf and continued to walk up. Even if the fire Qilin told him this in advance, he would still choose to step onto the thunder punishment stairway. He believed. The white-eyed wolf was the same. If he wanted to become stronger, he would have to pay the same price. In this world, there was no such thing as a free lunch. There was also no such thing as a free lunch in front of you. Everything had to be fought for with your own hands. See? Now is the best part of the show. Qiyu glanced at the princes and princesses and sneered. Hearing this, the 9 of them looked up at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with gloating smiles on their faces. This was the price of overestimating oneself. Did he think that he had the ability to be arrogant and had the ability to withstand the power of the stairway just because he broke the limit of his body? What a joke. Chapter 36:30. At the same time, Princess Huifeng retracted her worried gaze and asked the fire Qilin through voice transmission, "Why didn't you tell them in advance that the divine life pill and the law of life are useless on the stairway? Even if I told them, they would still choose to climb the stairway." The fire Qilin thought. Princess Huifeng said angrily, "Even if that's the case, they would still be mentally prepared if they knew in advance. That way, they wouldn't be so helpless and flustered." Flustered? The fire Qilin shook his head with a smile and said, "Looks like you don't understand them. I don't dare to say anything about the white-eyed wolf, but Qin Feiyang is someone who will remain calm the more dangerous the situation is." Princess Huifeng frowned when she heard that. After climbing the stairway, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf could only see their backs. Thus, when she heard the fire Qilin's words, she couldn't help but wonder if the man and the wolf were flustered. Logically speaking, in the face of such a sudden change, no matter who it was, they would definitely panic. But Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, it was hard to say. To be honest, said the fire Qilin, I didn't know there were so many details about the stairway. The fire Qilin smiled awkwardly. You didn't know? Princess Xiaofan was astonished. Yes. Back then, when I arrived at the Qilin Holy Land, I stayed by my master's side and cultivated. I didn't pay much attention to anything unrelated to me, including the stairway. You, on the other hand, since you know about the stairway, you should know about these details as well, right? The fire Qilin looked at Princess Xiaofan doubtfully. I only heard about it from my father once. I didn't ask about it. Many years ago, I did come to the Qilin Holy Land once, but I only stayed for half a day. During that time, I was playing with big brother Xiaoyun and didn't pay attention to these details. Princess Xiaofan shook her head. Playing with Qi Xiaoyun? The fire Qilin blanked out and asked curiously, playing with what? You're still in the mood to ask? Princess Xiaofan rolled her eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, worry in her eyes. The fire Qilin's eyes widened in astonishment. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf before looking at Princess Xiaofan and asked, are you worried about Qin Feiyang or the white-eyed wolf? Princess Xiaofan's expression stiffened. She angrily said, none of your business. Haha. The fire Qilin laughed dryly and asked, honestly, how much do you know about Qi Xiaoyun? What? Princess Fire Phoenix looked at the fire Qilin in surprise. The fire Qilin thought, although I've been in the Qilin Holy Land for so many years, I've only met him a few times. Moreover, each time I met him, it was by chance. Thus, I don't know anything about him. But I can feel that he is somewhat unfathomable. Princess Xiaofan nodded in realization. She transmitted, I haven't had much contact with him either. My impression of him is that he is like an intimate big brother. Why? Are you suspecting something? Nothing. I'm just curious. After all, it's natural to be curious about someone you can't see through. The fire Qilin shook his head and looked at the stairway. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf had reached the 850th step. They looked extremely miserable. One of Qin Feiyang's arms had been destroyed by the lightning tribulation. The white-eyed wolf was in the same state. Purplish gold dragon blood and golden wolf blood dyed the stairway red. This is more like it. The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but roar with laughter. Although the rules here annoyed him, that did not mean he regretted it. On the contrary. Only in such a desperate situation could his fighting spirit be stimulated. Still laughing? This guy must be crazy. Everyone was speechless. Qiyu said sarcastically, at this point, is there still a need to think? They must have been driven crazy. It will be their time of death soon. But not long after his voice fell, a man and a wolf rushed side by side and directly rushed to the 900th step. Qiyu's body suddenly stiffened. What the hell was going on? His injuries were already so serious. How could he still climb the 900th step? Lightning tribulation, I beg you, quickly kill them. Let their souls be destroyed and never be reincarnated. He roared in his heart. Qi Xiong and the 9 clan patriarchs also had gloomy faces. The current result had far exceeded their expectations. From ancient times until now. Except for the white-bearded old man, no one could reach the 700th step, let alone the 900th step. Looking at this situation, could they really succeed in reaching the top? No. Lightning punishment stairway, you must kill them. Qi Xiong also roared in his heart. If this man and wolf really succeeded in reaching the top, he would have to kneel down and kowtow 3 times in public. Such a shameful thing, no matter what, he couldn't do it. But now, he couldn't interfere. So he could only pray for the lightning punishment stairway in his heart. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf again. After reaching the 900th step, the power of the lightning tribulation soared again. Not only was the physical body suffering a destructive blow, even the Qi was on the verge of collapse. At this time, they couldn't stay. Because resting here would only make their injuries worse. Boom! Qin Feiyang took a step forward and climbed to the 901st step. At the same time, he activated the battle character Secret Art. However, although the battle character Secret Art had now been upgraded to the supreme level, under this lightning tribulation, it had no ability to resist at all. It collapsed in an instant. It's useless. Now the power of this lightning tribulation, no supreme level secret art or artifact can stop it. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. His badly mutilated face looked quite ferocious. Qin Feiyang was silent and lowered his head to move forward. Crack! When they climbed to the 911th step, the Qi of 1 man and 1 wolf finally reached the limit and shattered with a loud bang. If they were fighting with the enemy, once the Qi shattered, it would be fatal. But now, for Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, it didn't have much impact. Because all along, they had been relying on their physical body to resist the lightning tribulation. However, the crisis also came with it. The sea of consciousness was also on the verge of shattering. The sea of consciousness was different from the Qi sea. If the sea of consciousness was shattered, they would still have to rely on their powerful physical body. But once the sea of consciousness was shattered, the divine soul would be obliterated by the lightning tribulation. At that time, even the gods couldn't save them. Life and death were hanging by a thread. 1 man and 1 wolf gritted their teeth and desperately rushed up. But their injuries were too serious. Not to mention rushing up to the top in a short time, even lifting their feet was very difficult now. A strong sense of weakness swept over him. If it were anyone else, encountering such a desperate situation, they would have already lost all hope and stopped here to wait for death. But Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, although physically and mentally weak, still had a determined light in their eyes. 1 step. 2 steps. After a long period of suffering, they finally climbed to the 950th step. It was also at this moment. The white-eyed wolf's body shook violently and fell down. Seeing that the situation was not good, Qin Feiyang quickly reached out and grabbed the white-eyed wolf, shouting, "Bastard, can you do it? If you can't, don't come here to show off." "Fuck. Who can't do it?" The white-eyed wolf roared, stabilized his body, and coldly snorted, "Let's see who will fall first in the end." Qin Feiyang's eyes had a trace of a smile. Although it was difficult for them to even speak now, their trust in each other had never been less. They believed that whether it was him or the other party, they would definitely succeed in reaching the top in the end. Still not falling? Damn it, damn it. Looking at Qi Xiong and his son again. The two of them clenched their hands tightly, their eyes wide open in anger, and their expressions were almost crazy. They had already reached the 950th step, but they were still not dead. Were they really 2 monsters? Qi Ji's eyes flickered, and he sent a sound transmission, "Old Bai, what do you think?" The white-bearded old man looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, and said with a faint smile, "Whether they can successfully reach the top today or not, they will leave an immortal legend in the Qilin Holy Land." Because no one had ever reached the 950th step, even if they died on the heaven stairway, it would be passed down by the Qilin clan for generations. You know, that's not what I'm asking. I want to know if it's possible for them to successfully reach the top. Qi Ji raised his eyebrows. "I don't dare to talk nonsense, it depends on their own ability. The white-bearded old man shook his head. At this moment, the entire place was dead silent. Even if there were people talking, they were communicating secretly. Their gazes were fixed on the two figures who were struggling to climb and were on the verge of collapse. White-eyed wolf, Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke. His voice was hoarse and weak. "What?" The white-eyed wolf replied weakly. "This scene reminds me of the scene when I climbed the stone stairs in front of the pill hall in order to find the marrow-cleansing pill in Iron Bull Town. At that time, I was a real cripple. For me at that time, that stone stairs was an insurmountable moat, but it was also a path to heaven. Because only by reaching the top, I could get the marrow-cleansing pill. With the marrow-cleansing pill, I could return to the path of cultivation and take back everything I had lost," Qin Feiyang muttered. Although he was in the midst of the endless lightning tribulation, he could no longer feel the pain because he was already numb, and even his consciousness was fading. "I know, you said before that you finally reached the top, but you were kicked down by Ma Hongmei and almost fell to your death," the white-eyed wolf replied, and his voice was also weak and weak. Now, they were completely relying on their willpower to move their bodies forward. "Yes. I almost regretted it for the rest of my life. Thinking about the past, we were able to endure so many hardships. Now, how can we stop here? Don't forget, our goal is not the sky cloud realm." Qin Feiyang's mouth was brimming with a smile. "I know, our goal has always been the ice dragon, the small beast, the god of creation, surpassing the laws of the world, breaking the shackles of heaven and earth, and truly arriving at the outer world." The white-eyed wolf nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang. His blood-stained eyes also revealed a trace of a smile. At the same time, boom! A shocking aura erupted from the body of the man and the wolf. This was not the aura of cultivation, nor the aura of physical strength, but their spirit and will. Even the heavens can't stop our footsteps, let alone a mere heaven stairway. As long as life exists, our will never be extinguished. With my blood, I will crush the heavens and earth. The man and the wolf roared at the same time, shaking the 9 heavens. That inextinguishable spirit and will turned into an invisible storm, sweeping in all directions. Even the thunder punishment stairway couldn't help but tremble at this moment. Chapter 3, Release at 10 a.m. Chapter 36-31. What's going on? This sudden scene caused everyone present to turn pale with fright. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, who were on the verge of death, why did they suddenly burst out with such a terrifying aura? The white-bearded old man's pupils constricted as he exclaimed, "This is the manifestation of spirit and willpower. As long as they live, their willpower will never be extinguished. These two little guys are really geniuses." "I don't agree with that." Qi Ji shook his head. "Huh?" The white-bearded old man looked at Qi Ji suspiciously. "Spirit and willpower have nothing to do with talent. This is based on later cultivation. Of course, their talent can't be denied, but I'm more curious about what they've experienced along the way to be able to train such a terrifying willpower." Qi Ji also felt extremely incredulous. Not to mention the younger generation, even the older generation like them felt inferior. No. No matter how talented they are, they definitely can't reach the top. When Qi Xiong heard the conversation between the two, his face suddenly became incomparably ferocious. He stared at the thunder tribulation on the thunder punishment stairway. He must stop the two of them. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were like two overlords standing between heaven and earth. Although their physical bodies were still being destroyed by the thunder tribulation bit by bit, their footsteps never stopped. And every step was as steady as Mount Tai. 20 steps. 18 steps. 15 steps, seeing that they were getting closer and closer to the top, everyone present held their breaths. Especially the Fire Qilin, Tan Wu, the Hell Godhound, and the Divine Beast Uncle. Their expressions were filled with anticipation and nervousness. Their hearts were like a roller coaster, rising and falling. But Qi Xiong and his son, the 9 clan leaders, the princes and princesses of the 9 clans, were going crazy with hatred at this moment. How could a human, a lowly wolf, have such ability? No. I don't believe it. This must be a dream. Thunder Punishment Stairway, I beg you, quickly end their lives. They kept roaring in their hearts. Especially Qi Xiong and Qi Yu, if it weren't for the power of the Thunder Tribulation, they would have rushed up by now. 10 steps. 8 steps. 5 steps. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were only 5 steps away from the summit. They could already see the summit. The peak was shrouded in dark clouds. Through the dark clouds, they could vaguely see a stone platform that was several meters wide, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. This was the pinnacle. However, right at this moment, accompanied by a loud clang, a sharp sword light shot towards Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf like lightning. Everyone was shocked. Following closely, everyone's eyes instantly locked onto the sword light. This was the sword light of a sovereign-level divine weapon. Qi Xiong, what are you doing? The fire Qilin roared. Qi Xiong. Everyone was stunned and looked at Qi Xiong. Qi Xiong was filled with murderous intent and his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. He was holding a battle sword in his hand. This sword was Qi Yefeng's sovereign divine weapon. Sword of the Grim Reaper, Horsetail Whisk, quick! Princess Xiaofan came back to her senses and shouted. The sword of the Grim Reaper and the Horsetail Whisk were originally staring at Qi Xiong and the others. However, seeing that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were about to reach the summit, they could not help but watch them with anticipation. Moreover, this matter had been approved by the master of the Qilin. No matter how bold Qi Xiong was, he would not dare to act recklessly. However, they did not expect that he would be so bold as to dare to make a move under the master of the Qilin's nose. Hearing Princess Xiaofeng's roar, the 2 sovereign divine weapons immediately flew out to intercept the sword light. Die! Qi Xiong smiled coldly. Was it too late to intercept them now? As for the master of the Qilin, at worst, he would just be punished. As long as he could get rid of this man and the wolf, it would be worth it even if he was punished. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf again, they acted as if they did not see the incoming sword light and stepped onto the 997th step. They did not stop. They stepped onto the 998th step. At this moment, the sword light had already arrived behind them. Seeing that they were about to die, with a loud clang, the ancient castle appeared out of thin air and blocked the sword light forcefully behind the man and the wolf. Dong! At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stepped onto the 999th step at the same time and successfully reached the top. The moment they reached the top, the whole place fell into dead silence again. Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, who were standing at the top, with surging waves in their hearts. They actually succeeded in reaching the top. At this moment, in their eyes, these 2 bloody and extremely weak figures were as tall as 2 ancient gods. Soon, the fire Qilin, Tan Wu, Uncle Divine Beast, and the infernal Divine Hound cheered. Princess Xiaofan was also overjoyed. Qi Ji, the white-bearded old man, and the other clansmen of the Qilin clan were also amazed and showed admiration. However, Qi Xiong and the others were livid. Especially Qi Xiong. He was angry and couldn't extricate himself. His arms were also trembling, and the battle sword made a clanging sound. You're courting death. The sword of Thanatos and Horsetail Whisk were also sincerely happy for Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Then, they turned their swords and attacked Qi Xiong with destructive power. Because before stepping onto the stairway to heaven, Qin Feiyang had told them that if anyone dared to have any thoughts, they would be killed without mercy. Even though they were now in the Qilin's sacred ground, even though Qi Xiong was Qi Ji's brother, they absolutely couldn't forgive him. Have mercy! Qi Ji hurriedly cried out when he saw this. But the two sovereign divine weapons turned a deaf ear to him. When Qi Xiong attacked before, he didn't speak up. Now that he wanted to kill his brother, he ran out to stop him. How could he be so hypocritical? Qi Ji looked up at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, who were standing at the top, and said, "Qin Feiyang, golden-winged wolf king, I apologize to you on behalf of Qi Xiong." Who needs to apologize to them? If you want to fight, then fight. I am a dignified Qilin clan, why would I be afraid of these two little bastards? Qi Xiong roared, holding his battle sword, he charged towards the top of the stairway to heaven. Back down. However, at this moment, a hoarse voice rang out. Following closely. On the thunder punishment stairway, a bolt of lightning cut through the sky and entered Qi Xiong's Qi Si. Ah! Qi Xiong screamed on the spot, and a bloody hole appeared in his lower abdomen, blood gushing out. Ancestor! The patriarchs of the 9 clans wanted to help Qi Xiong, but when they saw this situation, they were immediately scared out of their wits. Especially Qi Yefeng. Because she was the one who gave the sovereign divine weapon to Qi Xiong. Qi Xiong stabilized his body, looked at the bloody hole in his lower abdomen, and roared with a face full of unwillingness, "Ancestor, they are just outsiders, why are you protecting them? Qi Xiong, how dare you?" Qi Ji's expression changed. He actually dared to openly contradict the ancestor. He went up and slapped Qi Xiong hard on the face, and secretly shouted, "Do you really want to die? I didn't see that the ancestor was saving you. Otherwise, do you think Qin Feiyang and the others would let you go? You don't know what's good for you." Qi Xiong's eyes trembled. The voice of the Qilin Lord sounded again, "Qi Yefeng, if you can't even keep the sovereign divine weapon, then from now on, you don't need to be the patriarch of the Wood Qilin clan anymore." Qi Yefeng suddenly quivered, hurriedly knelt in the void, and cried out in horror, "Ancestor, please have mercy, I won't dare to do it again in the future, I beg the ancestor to give me a way out." Not to mention Qi Yefeng and the others, even the sovereign divine weapon in Qi Xiong's hand did not dare to be rash. It hurriedly broke free and flew in front of Qi Yefeng, as obedient as a little sheep. What a disgrace to my Qilin clan! The Qilin Lord coldly snorted. The person still did not appear. However, as his voice fell, 2 rays of divine light broke through the air and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, saying, "This is the super forbidden technique that this sovereign promised to give you. Heal your injuries and leave quickly. As for Qi Xiong, you can't kill him." After that, the voice of the Qilin Lord never sounded again. The scene fell into dead silence again. Everyone looked at Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng with a look of sympathy. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, their faces were filled with envy. Not only did they successfully reach the peak of the Thunder Punishment Heavenly Stairway, they also received 2 super forbidden techniques from the Qilin Lord. It could be said that they had gained both fame and fortune. However, why didn't they say anything? From the moment they reached the peak, the 2 of them had been standing there motionless. Even when faced with Qi Xiong's sneak attack, they did not say a word. Actually, it wasn't that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf didn't want to speak, it was that they couldn't. Before they reached the peak, they were already exhausted, let alone now. When they reached the peak, they had completely lost their strength. The accumulated weakness had also swarmed over them. Not to mention speaking, even standing up was trembling. The most important thing was, their sea of consciousness and divine soul had also suffered heavy injuries, and their consciousness was being engulfed by the darkness. It's a success, right? The white-eyed wolf's voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. This was a communication of consciousness. Yes. We can have a good rest now. Immediately. One man and one wolf fell head first onto the stone platform, falling into a deep coma. The dark clouds around them gradually submerged them. Are they all right? Princess Xiaofan was shocked. Fire Unicorn, Tan Wu, Hell Godhound, and Uncle Divine Beast were also worried. They should have just fainted. The white-bearded old man laughed. Should? Why did these words sound so unreliable? Tan Wu asked, is there any way to go up and give them the pills? The white-bearded old man said, if you have the confidence to pass the thunder punishment heavenly stairway, you can go up and give it a try. When Tan Wu heard this, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. They're fine. The voice of the ancient castle sounded in the minds of Tan Wu and the others. The group of people looked up and saw the ancient castle floating at the peak, as if it was protecting Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. The ancient castle definitely wouldn't lie to them. His heart that was hanging in the air could finally be put down. Pyrotechnic Glow rolled his eyes and turned to look at Princess Xiaofan, asking, Sis, I'm also very curious, are you worried about Qin Feiyang or the white-eyed wolf? Scram. If you have the time, you might as well learn from Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and work hard to increase your strength and value. Princess Xiaofan glared at him. This time, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf not only gained fame and fortune, but also increased their potential value. Because it was not difficult to see from the Lord of Kiran's previous attitude that the Lord of Kiran admired Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf very much. Similarly, when this matter spread to the Feng people and dragons, it would definitely cause a huge sensation, even alarming the dragons and Feng Ho. Learn from them? Do you think everyone is a monster like them? Pyrotechnic Glow pursed his lips. I'll learn it first, but my strength doesn't allow me. What should I do? Princess Xiaofan wanted to refute, but for a moment, she really couldn't find a reason to. The reason for that was because those two fellows were truly monsters. Chapter 36-32. Whoosh. Qi Ji looked at the top of the heaven stairway and took a deep breath. He looked at his clansmen and waved his hand, disperse. Everyone hadn't seen enough. They wanted to see what would happen to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf after they woke up. But since the Fire Qilin Patriarch had already spoken, they didn't dare to disobey and left in groups of 2s and 3s. Very quickly. Only Tan Wu, Princess Xiaofan, and Qi Xiong were left. Qi Ji looked at Qi Xiong and the others and said helplessly, you guys go back too. How would the 9 patriarchs dare to stay? They had already angered the old ancestor. If this continued, it would be difficult for them to get away with it. Especially Qi Yefeng. Although her body was destroyed and the law of life was stolen, she didn't dare to act rashly because the Qilin Patriarch's scolding had almost scared her soul away. The princesses and princes of the 9 clans naturally didn't dare to stay and left with the 9 patriarchs. Qi Ji looked at Qi Xiong and his son and frowned, what are you still standing here for? Go back and reflect on your actions. Especially Qi Yu. You've been stirring up trouble time and time again. Otherwise, you would have been killed by Qin Feiyang and the others long ago. Qi Yu shrank his neck. Qi Ji said in a deep voice, I don't want to see this happen again. Go back and reflect on your mistakes. Without my orders, you are not allowed to step out of the house. Yes, uncle. Qi Yu responded respectfully. Even though he was very unwilling to accept this, he could only swallow his anger and wait for the ancestor to calm down before making further plans. After all, no one dared to touch this bad luck. Qi Xiong looked at Qi Ji and then looked up at the top of the mountain with hatred. He said in a deep voice, let's go. The others can go, but Qi Xiong must stay. But suddenly, the voice of the castle sounded. Don't go too far. Qi Xiong immediately glared at the castle. Qi Ji's expression also changed slightly. He cupped his hands and said, Sir, what happened before was indeed Qi Xiong's fault, but I have already apologized to Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King on his behalf. Moreover, the great ancestor also said that Qi Xiong cannot be killed. Obviously, he was using the Qilin Lord to intimidate the castle. Gu Bao said faintly, I didn't say I was going to kill him. It's just that he had an agreement with Feiyang in advance, so he had to stay here for the time being. He can only leave after Feiyang wakes up and kowtows. Also, don't use the Qilin Master to scare me. I won't fall for it. Qi Ji frowned. He didn't expect the sovereign weapon to be so unyielding. It didn't even give face to their ancestor. Since it's an agreement, Qi Xiong naturally won't dare to go back on his word. As for Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King, we don't know when they'll wake up, so we might as well let Qi Xiong go back and rebuild his body first. We'll talk about it after Qin Feiyang and the others wake up. The white-bearded old man laughed. What if he runs away? Pyrotechnic Glow sneered. Shut up. Who are you to speak here? Qi Yu glared at Pyrotechnic Glow and shouted. You're just a stray dog. Why are you so arrogant? Pyrotechnic Glow smiled disdainfully. Qi Yu was furious. Qi Xiong stopped Qi Yu, looked at Pyrotechnic Glow, and said, You should know how to behave when you speak. Don't forget that this is the Qilin Holy Land. What? Pyrotechnic Glow snorted coldly. Qi Xiong's eyes flashed with killing intent. What a reckless junior. Shut up, all of you. Qi Ji glared at the father and son, looked up at the ancient castle, and said with a smile, Your Excellency, if Qi Xiong really runs away, I will replace him and kneel to Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King. What do you think? Since you've already said so, if I still insist on staying, it will make me seem unreasonable. Okay, remember what you said today. After saying that, the ancient castle fell silent. Qi Ji breathed a sigh of relief, stared at the father and son, and shouted, Why aren't you leaving? Qi Xiong snorted coldly, turned around, and flew away with Qi Yu. Qi Ji looked at Princess Huifeng and Pyrotechnic Glow, and said with a smile, Don't mind it, and don't restrict yourself. Just treat this as your home. After all, your father and I are old friends. I'm very happy that you can come to the Qilin Holy Land to play. Okay, uncle. The brother and sister nodded. Qi Ji smiled and said, When you have time, help uncle persuade Xiaoyun not to do useless things all day long. Spend more time on cultivation. Okay. The brother and sister nodded. Alright, Holy Son Qilin, I'll take my leave now. Qi Ji looked at the Fire Qilin. Okay. The Fire Qilin nodded. Qi Ji left with the white-bearded old man. Persuade Qi Xiaoyun? Pyrotechnic Glow looked at Qi Ji's back and said, I don't even know him, okay? You don't know him? The Fire Qilin looked at him in astonishment. Yeah. Although I've been here before, this is my first time here. It doesn't look like much. Especially the people here. They are even more unreasonable than the ice phoenixes. Pyrotechnic Glow looked around with disdain. Cough, cough. The Fire Qilin coughed and said awkwardly, Give me some face. I'm the Qilin Holy Son, after all. How can you say that in front of me? Ha! You're a different story. Because you're in Cao Cao's camp, but your heart is elsewhere. Pyrotechnic Glow bared his teeth. The Fire Qilin shook his head and laughed. He looked at Tan Wu and the others and asked, Are you all going to wait here? Let's wait. There's nothing to do anyway. Tan Wu smiled. In the blink of an eye. Half a month passed. During this half a month, the Qilan Holy Land was bustling with noise and excitement. Everyone was talking about Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Of course. While talking about Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, there was naturally no lack of jokes made by Qi Xiong and his son. However, Qi Xiong, his son, Qi Yefeng, and the others were unusually quiet during this half a month, as if nothing had happened. And during this half a month, with the help of the purple gold dragon blood and the fire of life, Qin Feiyang's injuries had been healed, but his sea of qi, sea of consciousness, and divine soul had not been repaired. After all, the sea of qi, sea of consciousness, and divine soul were all places that were extremely difficult to repair. Only with the help of pills was the most effective. But what was unexpected was that the white-eyed wolf's injuries had actually healed. One had to know. The reason why Qin Feiyang could recover so quickly was mostly because of the purple gold dragon blood. But what did the white-eyed wolf rely on? Obviously, this was also related to the power of its current bloodline. Now it was basically certain that the power of its bloodline was the same as the purple gold dragon blood, containing an extremely powerful healing ability. However, although their injuries had healed, there were no signs of waking up. Just like before, they maintained the same posture, lying on the stone platform. In fact, their consciousness had long been awakened, but at this moment, their consciousness had fallen into an endless dark space. This point, not to mention Princess Huifeng and the others below, even the ancient castle, the sword of death, and the horsetail whisk, the three sovereign divine weapons guarding the man and the wolf, did not know. They all thought that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were sleeping. The dark space was boundless. There was no sound, nor was there anything. Nothingness, dead silence. The consciousness of a man and a wolf were trapped in the boundless darkness. It felt as if centuries had passed. Moreover, their consciousness was not in the same dark space. In other words, they were in a dark space by themselves. But they felt the same. It was cold, dead silent, and dark. They tried to shout and struggle, but the only response they got was the echo of their shouts. Where is this? Why is my consciousness trapped here? Is there anyone here? Little Qin Zi, are you there? Answer me if you are. I'm really going to collapse, I want to go out. What the hell is this place? No matter who is playing tricks in the dark, I advise you to let me out immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. The white-eyed wolf's consciousness was like a lonely ghost, floating in the dark space. Gradually, this strange environment and atmosphere made it unable to help but feel afraid. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's consciousness was also wandering aimlessly in the dark space. The cold and lonely void gradually made him irritated. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 1,000,000 years, in the dark space, time seemed to pass in the blink of an eye, but it also seemed to be flowing backward. Qin Feiyang did not know how many years he had drifted in the space, let alone how far he had drifted. He was tortured by loneliness every moment. As time went by, he seemed to have forgotten something. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? In the end, the sense of loneliness slowly disappeared. It seemed that he was born in this dark world. Slowly, he had gotten used to all of this, and all of his memories had been completely forgotten. He thought that this was how the world was. So, he began to sit quietly in the darkness. He forgot everything. His body and mind became empty, and his essence, energy, and spirit were sublimated. It seemed that countless centuries had passed. Even his consciousness had become transparent and untainted. But suddenly one day, at the end of the deep darkness, a ray of light suddenly appeared. What is this? Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and looked at the ray of light. An inexplicable sense of fear rose in his heart. What was this feeling? Yes. He had even forgotten his sense of fear. The fear that was once very familiar became very strange at this moment. But with the appearance of the light, the dark space was not illuminated. It was like a meteor in the darkness, passing directly over his head and disappearing into the darkness. At the same time, the same scene happened in the dark space where the white-eyed wolf was. It seemed that a few centuries had passed. At the end of the darkness, another ray of light appeared. It was still a familiar scene. It flashed by, like a flash of the epiphyllum. What on earth is that? Qin Feiyang, who had forgotten everything and returned to his original state, was like an innocent child, extremely curious. The next time you appear, I must catch you and take a look. He clenched his fists a little angrily. It seemed that several centuries had passed. At the end of the darkness, the light appeared again. Qin Feiyang immediately got up and rushed toward the light. Chapter 36-33. But the speed of the light was extremely fast and it knew how to dodge. He brushed past Qin Feiyang's side without stopping at all. Want to run? Qin Feiyang turned around and flew away. However, the light was like a little elf, disappearing into the darkness with a few jumps. Qin Feiyang scratched his head. What was going on? After a long wait, another light finally appeared. This time, Qin Feiyang was fully prepared in advance. When the light swept past, he stretched out both hands, but the result was that he still grabbed nothing and swept past him. I don't believe that I can't catch you. Qin Feiyang's stubborn temper also came up, and he grabbed with his backhand. At that moment, there was a trace of excitement in his eyes. Because he felt that he had already caught the light, and a warm feeling came from his palm. It was as if he was bathing in the sun, making him feel very comfortable. Let's see if you can still run. Qin Feiyang retracted his arm, looked down at his clenched fist, and laughed. Immediately, he also used his other hand and slowly loosened his clenched fist, as if he was afraid that the light would run away when he wasn't paying attention. But when he saw the light in his palm, Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. The light had disappeared and was replaced by a wisp of lightning, quietly staying in his palm. He thought it was something, but it turned out to be a wisp of lightning. When he came back to his senses, he couldn't help but shake his head and smile. Boom! However, in the next moment, that wisp of lightning suddenly released a peerlessly terrifying aura. Qin Feiyang was instantly drowned in terror. He quickly let go. But the lightning seemed to be stuck to his hand and couldn't be shaken off. It was also at this moment that everything he had forgotten came rushing back like a tide. I am Qin Feiyang. I am at the top of the thunder punishment stairway of the Qilin Holy Land. I am now trapped in a dark space of nothingness. When his memory was restored, the fear that the lightning gave him was even stronger. It was as if this wisp of lightning in front of him was transformed from a sovereign divine weapon. Fear, panic, and despair drowned him. No. In the end, accompanied by a furious roar, his consciousness was shattered by the terrifying aura of the lightning. The dark space collapsed as well. Just as the dark space collapsed, Qin Feiyang, who was lying on the stone platform, suddenly got up. His forehead was covered with large beads of sweat. He quickly scanned his surroundings. He was actually still on the thunder punishment heavenly stairs. He lowered his head and looked at himself. He was completely unharmed. What was going on? Immediately, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Hadn't his consciousness been shattered by the lightning in the dark space? Why is he completely fine? Could it be that it was just a nightmare? But this dream was too realistic. The long years, the endless waiting, and the final despair seemed to be branded in his mind, unable to be erased. What happened to you? The ancient castle, the sword of the Grim Reaper, and the Whisk's artifact spirits all looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. He suddenly jumped up and then stood there motionless. Such an abnormal behavior shocked them all. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He looked up at the three sovereign divine weapons and said with a smile, "You're all here." "Nonsense. We've always been here." The ancient castle was speechless. He must be sleepwalking. Qin Feiyang was about to speak, but suddenly found that the dark clouds that shrouded the peak had dissipated, replaced by an endless blue sky and white clouds. What was going on? Was it really a nightmare? This kid couldn't have been struck dumb by lightning, right? Qin Feiyang, don't scare us. The ancient castle's three sovereign divine weapons were very worried. Guess if he was struck dumb. Qin Feiyang glared at the three sovereign divine weapons and asked, "How long has it been?" "It's been exactly a month since you were unconscious." The ancient castle said. "So fast?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wait. Where was the white-eyed wolf? He hurriedly lowered his head and glanced at the stone platform. He found that the white-eyed wolf was still lying on the side, motionless. Did the white-eyed wolf have the same nightmare as him? After pondering for a moment, he still couldn't figure out the reason. He took out the Tianyang spirit pill and Yuan Hai divine pill and put them into his mouth. His sea of qi and sea of consciousness immediately began to repair at a speed visible to the naked eye. But suddenly, his face suddenly changed. After taking the pill, he observed the situation of his sea of qi and sea of consciousness. He found that there was a wisp of lightning floating in his sea of consciousness. This, after repeated confirmation, the lightning in his sea of consciousness was exactly the same as the lightning in his dream. One must know. This wisp of lightning could easily erase his consciousness. Now that he saw this lightning inexplicably appear in his sea of consciousness, how could he still be calm? But after a long time, the lightning didn't erupt with terrifying power. This made him couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Following closely, a lot of doubts crawled in his mind. Obviously, this wasn't a dream. But what was this lightning? What was the dark space? Why did the lightning appear in his sea of consciousness? What did this wisp of lightning represent? Faced with these puzzling questions, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but have a headache. Then he tried to take the lightning out of his sea of consciousness, but the lightning seemed to have taken root in his sea of consciousness and couldn't be taken out. "Master, spare my life." Suddenly, a loud roar sounded next to him. Not only Qin Feiyang, but the three sovereign divine weapons in the castle were also startled and quickly looked at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf also got up from the place with a quiver. In an instant, his hair was wet with cold sweat and his eyes were full of fear. But soon, it was the same as Qin Feiyang. Bai looked at the familiar scene around him, his eyes full of confusion and doubts. "Why are you all so surprised?" The three sovereign divine weapons in the castle were full of doubts. Damn! It turned out to be a dream. It really scared me to death. The white-eyed wolf finally came back to his senses and said with a face full of fear. "Dream?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Could it be that when the white-eyed wolf was asleep, he experienced the same thing as him? So he asked curiously, "What dream?" "It's just a nightmare. Let's not talk about it." The white-eyed wolf placed its paws on its paws. Qin Feiyang took out the Yuan Hai divine pill and the Tianyang divine pill and handed them to the white-eyed wolf. "Tell me, because when I was asleep, I also had a nightmare." "You also had a nightmare?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf took the pill and said suspiciously, "Then tell me what your nightmare was first." Qin Feiyang sorted out his memories and recounted everything that had happened in the dream. Damn! Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf's face suddenly had a trace of disbelief. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. The white-eyed wolf said, your dream is almost the same as mine. It can't be. Qin Feiyang was stunned. The white-eyed wolf said, the only difference is that I didn't catch a wisp of lightning, but a wisp of gray flame. A wisp of gray flame? Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly urged, look at your sea of consciousness. The white-eyed wolf nodded and looked inside his sea of consciousness. He was stunned at once and saw a wisp of gray flame floating in his sea of consciousness. It's not a dream? The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, what's going on? I don't know. In my sea of consciousness, there is also a wisp of lightning. Qin Feiyang shook his head and pondered for a moment. Then he looked up at the three sovereign divine weapons and said, you all heard it, right? Tell me, what's going on? The white-eyed wolf's eyes lit up. He looked at the three sovereign divine weapons and said, you are all sovereign divine weapons. You should know, right? I see. The three sovereign divine weapons chuckled. What are you laughing at? Tell us. The white-eyed wolf said angrily. Go ask the white-bearded old man. He should be able to explain it to you. After saying that, the sword of Thanatos and the horsetail whisk disappeared into Qin Feiyang's body. I have placed the super forbidden technique that the Qilin Lord gave you in your cultivation room. You can study it when you have time. After saying that, the sword of Thanatos went straight to the Black Tortoise world, leaving Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf in a daze on the stone platform. Damn it, so unreliable. The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and roared angrily. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. It was probably a very complicated matter. The three sovereign divine weapons did not want to waste their breath. As for the super forbidden technique, they still remembered it. Because at that time, they were not unconscious. Qin Feiyang, white-eyed wolf, are you awake? Suddenly, a suspicious voice sounded from below. When the man and wolf heard this voice, they were slightly stunned. They hurriedly walked to the front of the stone platform and looked down. They saw Fire Qilin, Tan Wu, Hell God Hound, Uncle Divine Beast, and Princess Fire Phoenix standing below. At this moment, they were all looking at the top of the stairway suspiciously. They can't see us? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. It seems so. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, can you still see the dark clouds here? No. When I woke up, the dark clouds had disappeared. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. It seems to have something to do with our experience. In the eyes of Tan Wu and the others, the dark clouds must still be there. In other words, in their eyes, we are still submerged in the dark clouds and they can't see us. Qin Feiyang analyzed. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf glanced around and muttered, what a strange place. Let's go down. Qin Feiyang smiled. It was not strange, but with their current ability, they still could not understand. Whoosh! The man and the wolf immediately jumped up from the stone platform and swooped down. It's them. Indeed, as Qin Feiyang said, in the eyes of Tan Wu and the others, the dark clouds at the top were still there. When Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf jumped down from the stone platform, they immediately appeared in their sight. Seeing the man and the wolf appear safely, the group of people beamed with joy. Sorry to keep you waiting. Qin Feiyang chuckled and landed in front of the group of people. It's only been a month. As long as you are fine. Fire Qilin smiled. Pyrotechnic Glow looked at the man and the wolf curiously and asked, what are you doing up there? Why are you so surprised? It's a long story. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked, where are the others? The Hell God Hound said, they can't stay here and wait for you for a month. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded and frowned. What about Qi Xiong? He also went back. Fire Kailan thought for a moment and said, Are you sure you still want him to kneel and kowtow? Of course. This is what we agreed in advance. The white-eyed wolf sneered. And so many people heard it. He couldn't deny it even if he wanted to. Chapter 36-34. The Fire Qilin didn't say anything else. Although it did want to help Qi Xiong, what Qi Xiong did was too much. Not only did he scheme in the galaxy, he even tried to kill Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf when they were about to reach the peak. Even a good-tempered person would be angry after being provoked so many times, let alone Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, who were vengeful people. Qin Feiyang said, Let's go find the white-bearded old man first. Find him? The Fire Qilin and the others were stunned. Shouldn't they be looking for Qi Xiong? Why were they looking for an insignificant person first? I have something to ask him. Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, Where does the white-bearded old man live? Qi Xiong was now a small matter for Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. The Fire Qilin thought for a moment and said, I think he lives with Qi Xiaoyun. I know where Qi Xiaoyun lives. Princess Huifeng said. Then take us there. After Qin Feiyang said that, he looked at the Fire Qilin, Tan Wu, and the others and said with a smile, If you have something else to do, you can go do it first. What can we do? We're just cultivating. Tan Wu chuckled. Okay, let's go together. As Qin Feiyang said that, the group immediately set off and flew toward the center of the Qilin Holy Land. Ding dong. In a courtyard. The sound of a zither drifted in the air. It was neither fast nor slow, like a slowly flowing stream. In the courtyard. Numerous tea trees swayed in the wind, exuding vitality. A two-story loft was situated in the middle of the courtyard, like a graceful young lady. Beside it, there was a pavilion with carved beams and painted rafters. In the pavilion, a young man in white sat. His face was as clear as jade, and his body was thin. His thick black hair was tied behind his head, and he exuded an elegant aura. On the stone table in front of him, there was not only an exquisite zither, but also a pot of tea. The fragrance of tea wafted through the air, and the sound of the zither was melodious. It was like an otherworldly paradise. Whoosh! A figure streaked across the sky and landed in front of the pavilion. It was Xiaoying. Xiaoying bowed and said, Young master. Speak. Said Qi Xiaoyun with a faint smile on his face. Xiaoying said, They've already awakened, and they're rushing towards us. It seems like they're looking for Elder Bai. Why are you looking for Elder Bai? Qi Xiaoyun asked. I don't know. Littling shook his head. Qi Xiaoyun pondered as he played the zither. Suddenly, he smiled and said, Looks like the lightning punishment heavenly stairs is not as simple as it seems. What do you mean? Littling was bewildered. I don't know. I only realized that it's not that simple, but I'm not sure about the specifics yet. Get ready to welcome our esteemed guests. Qi Xiaoyun smiled. All right. Littling nodded and entered the tea garden to pick fresh tea leaves. In this courtyard, not only was there a large tea garden, but there was also a large orchard. There was more than one fruit tree, and each fruit was suffused with a layer of hazy divine light. It looked sweet and delicious. After picking the tea leaves and fruits, Littling carefully washed them and placed them on an exquisite jade plate before placing them neatly on the stone table. Then, she changed the tea leaves in the teapot and brewed a new pot of tea. A moment later, several figures streaked across the sky and headed straight for the courtyard. It was Qin Feiyang and the others. It's really him. Hearing the sound of the zither coming from the courtyard, Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Although the sound of the zither was roughly the same, if one listened carefully, one would be able to hear the slight differences. It was just like humans. Although they were all humans, they all had their own characteristics. Swish! A group of people landed outside the courtyard. Greetings, Qilin Saint. Littling was already waiting outside. She first bowed to the fire Qilin before looking at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. She smiled and said, I didn't expect to meet again so soon. Yeah. This fate is truly wondrous beyond words. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Littling smiled and stepped aside. She bowed and said, Please come in. Qin Feiyang led the group into the courtyard. When he saw the tea garden not far away, a trace of amazement appeared in his eyes. There were all kinds of tea trees in the garden, and the Longjing tea was among them. If it was someone else, for example, the white-eyed wolf would definitely not feel anything. But in Qin Feiyang's eyes, this was a fatal temptation. Brother Qin, if you like it, you can choose whatever you want later. Qi Xiaoyun stopped playing the zither and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Really? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course. Qi Xiaoyun nodded. But as if he suddenly thought of something, he changed his mind and said, But the 4 tea trees in the center of the garden are out of the question. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at the center of the garden, his eyes filled with curiosity. What kind of tea trees could make Qi Xiaoyun so reluctant? But before he could see clearly, Littling stood in front of him and said with a smile, Young Master Qin, the tea and fruits are ready. Please. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He looked at Littling meaningfully and gave up on looking for the 4 tea trees that Qi Xiaoyun cared about. He turned around and entered the pavilion. Looking at the tea, fruits, and zither on the table, he smiled and said, Brother Qi, you're really in a good mood. You're too kind. Please have a seat. Qi Xiaoyun waved his hand. After Qin Feiyang sat down, Qi Xiaoyun looked at Princess Xiaofan and said with a smile, long time no see. You're getting more and more beautiful. What are you talking about? Princess Xiaofan's cheeks blushed. Huh? Qi Xiaoyun was astonished. He was not modest at all. He shook his head and smiled. Have a seat. Littling, pour the tea. Littling walked to Qi Xiaoyun's side and opened the teapot. A faint fragrance wafted out. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. This was indeed the Longjing tea. Furthermore, it was the freshest tea leaves. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Looks like Brother Qi already knew we would come. As the son of the Fire Qilin Patriarch, it's not hard for me to know your whereabouts. Qi Xiaoyun smiled and asked, Brother Qin, are you satisfied with the tea tree sprouts I gave you previously? That was a huge gift. I haven't thanked you yet. Qin Feiyang smiled. As long as Brother Qin likes it. Qi Xiaoyun smiled. Princess Xiaofan glanced at the two before transmitting to Daifuku. As I expected, Qi Xiaoyun was the one who gave him the tea tree sprouts. What is Qi Xiaoyun's intention for showing goodwill to Qin Feiyang? Daifuku wondered. I don't know. Princess Xiaofan muttered. In truth, she had insisted on coming to the Qilin Holy Land to verify this matter. After exchanging some pleasantries, Qin Feiyang put down his teacup and went straight to the point. Is Senior Bai around? My master should be fishing in the river behind the mountain, right? Qi Xiaoyun said. He turned to Littling and smiled. Go get my master. No need. I'm just a junior. How can I trouble Senior Bai to come all the way here? I'll go look for him myself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Qi Xiaoyun blanked out for a moment before nodding. Sure. Littling, bring Brother Qin there. Yes. Littling answered respectfully. You guys chat first. White-eyed wolf, come with me. Qin Feiyang then followed the white-eyed wolf. Under Little Ying's lead, they flew toward the back of the courtyard. He's being so secretive. Nothing good will come out of this. Princess Xiaofan snorted coldly. She raised her head and asked, Big brother Xiaoyun, you've been to the eastern continent recently, right? Qi Xiaoyun blanked out for a moment before he smiled. You want to know why I gave Qin Feiyang the Longjing tea sprouts, right? Princess Xiaofan smiled awkwardly. Perhaps it's because we're both like-minded, or perhaps it's because of the Qilin Holy Sun, but I'm curious about Qin Feiyang. Actually, none of that is important. What's important is that he likes the gift. Qi Xiaoyun smiled. Princess Xiaofan was speechless. What kind of answer was that? At the back of the mountain. In the mountains, ancient trees towered into the sky. A river flowed between the mountains, meandering like a giant dragon. Under a big tree, an old man sat on a small stool, holding a homemade fishing rod in his hand. He was looking at the floating fish on the river. See, nearby is over there. Littling pointed at the old man on the river bank and smiled. Thank you for leading the way. Qin Feiyang glanced at the old man and cupped his hands at Littling with a smile. Obviously, he wanted her to go back. You guys take your time. Xiao Ying naturally understood. She smiled and turned around to leave. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other before silently landing in front of the old man. To be honest, if they hadn't entered the Qilin Holy Land, they would never have thought that the old man was such a terrifying expert. They're here. Although the man and the wolf did not reveal any aura as they did not want to disturb the old man's fishing, the old man still sensed their arrival. Moreover, he did not seem to be surprised by the arrival of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, I have offended you before, I hope that senior can forgive me. Back then? The old man with the white beard was startled, and laughed hoarsely. Did I offend you at that time? At that time, it seems that you guys saved my life from the hands of the first prince of dragons. I still have to thank you guys. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf couldn't help but sweat. With your strength, you still need us to save you? Speaking of which, this is also fate between us. I also know why you guys are here. But before I answer, I want to know, what did you see? The old man with the white beard put down the fishing rod and stood up to look at the man and the wolf. Qin Feiyang was silent for a while, then nodded, all right. At this moment, he explained in detail what he and the white-eyed wolf had seen. Hearing this, the old man with the white beard shook his head and sighed. You guys have indeed glimpsed the ultimate profound meaning. That's the ultimate profound meaning? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked. That's right. The old man with the white beard nodded and laughed. The dark space is actually formed from your inner world, and the rays of light that appear are the epitome of the power of law that you have grasped. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.